used to go out there. All right, welcome everybody to the Late Frame Podcast. I am your host, Holy Moses. The Bearded Beauty is out doing some stuff for the family, and Tackleberry, aka Wes Tackleberry, will be on his way shortly. We have in the house, and we want to welcome every guest to our show, Mr. James Cloke from Level Ride Air Ride.
Air Suspension. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us.
No problem, man. I just want to welcome you to the show and wanted to ask, I've seen some of your builds. I've seen some of the crazy suspensions that you're doing, especially with look like a red C10 where you had the belt tilted and you had a lot of different, like a hydraulic setup that was underneath with like a cantilever at the same time, I believe.
Yeah, that one's all rocker arm suspension, front and rear.
Wow.
The red is the chassis, and the vehicle is a 63 long bed that we found in Pahrump. It's been essentially sitting in a collection, like an estate, since 1978 was the last time it was registered, and it had the 283 power glide in it. It had very little rust in it at all.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we picked it up at an estate auction and brought it back here, and we've been working on it for the last 2 years.
Oh, shit. Yeah, and that's crazy because for you to say, oh, well, I found it rust-free, that's a lot of, we hear. Yeah.
That was one of the reasons I bid on it, because we had a good look, and there was the usual rust in the front quarters, which is very easy to fix. The floors virtually had no rust at all. The roof had no rust.
And that's weird because some of those drip rails will rust out quick, and then you end up getting the water in the floor after a while on the rain.
No, it had a tiny bit in the A pillar on the driver's side, and the passenger side was all like brand new sheet metal still.
Wow. Oh yeah. So what got you, like, take me back to how it started for you to be in the industry of automotive, and was it always about custom cars? Was it always about, slamming to the floor?
Similar to America, we get our license about a year later than what you guys get, but I'm a fitter machinist by trade. I was always into cars growing up. I was like, I had the Meccano, the builder sets and all that stuff. So I was building things long before I even, had a license.
Oh, okay.
I had the old dragster, pedal bike, that sort of stuff. I had the C-bar shifter in the center and the sissy bar out the back, and we had all that sort of stuff. So we were racing around on them, and I started my apprenticeship as a fitter machinist a week after I turned 15, because my birthday's the end of December.
Oh wow!
So I left school when I was 14, and my parents weren't fussed because I went to university at night school. So I was doing my apprenticeship, and I was the only 15-year-old in the class out of all these other guys that were in their 20s, and I did a marine engineering degree at the same time. And my mum would drive me down there 2 nights a week, and I'd spend 3 hours in the class 2 nights a week. And just before my 19th birthday, I had my trade papers and the first part of my diploma. So I was only just 19 when I got everything decided like that, and I was working for a very large shipping repair company. We had, the usual old lathes and mills. This is all before CNCs and things like that. We had a welding shop. We had a blacksmith shop, so I learned to, blacksmith and work on the forge, and the old big hammers that you see now that, people are hammering things out. I did a lot of that. So I learned to weld and, use the oxyacetylene and all that sort of stuff. And then I couldn't get a job in the marine engineering part for my degree, so I joined the Navy.
Oh, wow.
So I did 7 years in the Australian Navy as an engineer because I already had my degree.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Shit.
so I had a really good, solid background, and by the time I got out, I just turned 28. Was still living. I grew up in Perth in Western Australia, and I'd moved to Sydney as part of the Navy. And then when I got out, I decided I liked Sydney better. There was more going on, and the car scene was really cool. And while I was in the Navy, I had an RX4 with the 13B in it. Several smaller cars, bits and pieces. I had a Honda Civic, like an EG Civic, all sorts of other cars. And I had the Australian ones that you guys all know, which is the Holden.
Yeah, which is like the El Camino.
Yeah, like the El Camino. So I had the El Camino. I've got two of them here around the side of the house that I brought with me.
Okay. So how hard was that to transport from?
Back when I brought them in 2017, it was relatively cheap. I bought two tall deck containers with all my stuff when we moved here. I had my 59 El Camino in there as well because I'd already bought that and imported it back in 2013.
Oh, so it was.
And then I couldn't part with it, and they were so hard to find in Australia. So I had room in the container, so I bought 3 cars back. One was the El Camino, 2 right-hand drive 73 Holden Utes, and then all my machine parts and bits and pieces, and all my workshop came over.
Yeah.
So we sort of started unpacking in February of 2017. We've always been in Vegas. Back then, it was just cheaper to operate a business in Vegas than it was in California, by about 15%. And now I think it's about 35% cheaper to be in Vegas than California.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the big part of it is it's taxes and overhead. So like, like same thing here in Arizona. All you're paying is overhead. And then all your electric and gas or whatever, all your electric and whatever you're using, and like, just open the door. You're fine. Lola. See, this is what I mean when we're live. And everyone's like, "Oh, you really?" People always ask, "Are you really live?" No, we're really live. So the other co-host just showed up. Where's Chrissy? Fucking Bam. If you're gonna notice, there are gonna be people you'll see some of the.
We've got people starting to tune in.
Jeremy.
I tagged everybody. I've asked 60,000 followers. I put it all up there just so that if anyone wants to talk to see who I am, at least they can come on the podcast and say hi.
No, definitely. James Cloke. This is Wes, aka Tackleberry. How you doing, James? The other co-host.
Good, thanks.
So James is.
So we're talking like Tackleberry here from the cops once.
Police Academy, yeah. That's why I gave him that nickname. But he was telling me he imported some Holdens, which are like pretty much like the right like the Al Camino, like over there. And then I asked him, he said it was cheaper back then. I'm like, yeah, because right now it's like. I'm sure everything's
well, because we're live, I could easily pick the pad up later, and we can take people and I can show them.
Hell yeah, that's nice.
Because we're at home, everything's here. Like my truck's just next to me here in the garage. I've got a 53 F100 out the back here that I'm doing. My 59 El Camino sitting there, and my daily is a 2013 Caprice PPV that's been bagged and slammed on the ground.
What? Damn, dude. Yeah, we would definitely like a shop tour a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, it's a mess. Like there's
awesome,
shit everywhere. Because
Ryan says
I basically work 6 days a week.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do. Everyone, I'm working unfortunately 5 days a week because of that.
I'm from Sydney, Australia, Chris.
Yeah. Yep, that's where he's from.
But this is my best Vegas accent. This is as good as I get.
He's in Vegas because we've interviewed a lot of people from Australia. The scene over there is just in mini trucking. Holy shit!
Oh yeah, well that's where I met Brian.
He was probably over there doing some stuff over there. So.
Yeah, he came up to me. I had my VE Maloo, which is the G8, and I had my red Maloo there at a show, and he came up and he was taking photos of it, and we started talking, and he told me a bit about himself, and we sort of hung out for the next day or so.
Chris, yes, they are, Chris. They are badass. Yeah, they're on a whole nother level. That's why I bet you that's why he gave it. That's how he got the name too. Fucking because it's a whole different level. Like that, because I think it's because you guys have to actually have a machinist or an engineer to come out to look at the
So
vehicle.
one of the jobs I did in the last year or so before I left, I was actually not a consulting engineer, it was a certifying engineer. So because I had that background, and I'd worked in there, I was invited by the Australian government to work in New South Wales on what was called a compliance scheme, and I was doing the airbag side of it with another company called Airbag Man out of Queensland, and we had Pedders, a couple of the hot rod shops and all that sort of stuff, and we wrote the paper for the government on the code of practice for modifying vehicles.
So you're the reason why there's canaries?
Like, well, that was already in. And what we did is we filed a complaint with one of the local politicians there and said, listen, these rules are outdated. They're not keeping up with the times. And they decided to form a new working group. And it took 4 years.
4 years to adjust it?
Yeah, we used to meet every 3 months for 4 years. And we went through all the proposals. I even had hydraulics approved with the setup and everything. And how it was done. And the system I'm building now on my truck is essentially a representative of what you would need to get it passed in Australia.
Oh, so you're building it so it meets USA and Australian standards no matter what. So
yeah, it'll meet the SAE standards, which is the Society of Automotive Engineers.
Okay, so what is the big thing? Because a lot of the guys that I've interviewed from Australia, they're like, yeah, they'll slap a canary and you can only drive it so long, and you know, if you can't even hit the switch, and you know, some places are even more strict. I'm like, how?
Yeah. So essentially, they'll allow you to raise it to get in and out of a speed bump, but it's the metric system down there. So your vehicles can't be below 100 millimeters, which is 4 inches. So, but what we tried to explain to them was, and this is where a lot of guys got defected all the time, is that they were trying to say that the 100 millimeters was the bump stop height. And we said, no, that's the minimum driving height. And that was the big thing. That took us 18 months to convince them of that.
Oh, because of just that little bit.
Yeah, because you can go and buy a brand new car in Australia, you know, a Holden HSV or even a Porsche or a Lamborghini or whatever, and they come with a compliance plate. And before you put 2 people in them and your luggage and everything else, they're 100 mil. But as soon as you load them up with everybody else, they're 85 millimeters off the ground. And we were saying to them, the compliance that you've passed on all of these standard vehicles is 100 mil. And then you're defecting people for being below that because it's the difference between loaded and unloaded.
Yes, Chris, he is the guy with the tilt bed Chevy. He's building it. Yeah. Well,
that's one of the reasons I came on the show, is that, you know, everyone can see who I am.
Yeah, dude.
They might not be able to understand me, but they can see me.
Nah, the language barrier is perfectly fine, man. It's awesome because you're out here now in Vegas and you're building it to the standards of both, which is unreal, because a lot of people just, we'll just build it to, as long as it looks good and it's structurally sound, you know.
Well, everything that we build here for customers is done to the same standard.
Is there anything that's out of range that you guys are like? So, like when we interviewed a couple, one of the Colorado Customs owner, he said they have a hard time saying no to certain things. Like if it's not too crazy or, you know, something, you know, I know a lot of people think outside the box when it comes to building suspensions. And throughout the scene, there's been some very, very innovative cantilever setups. There's been some innovative hydraulic setups to where, like Georgia's, the way her setup is amazing. Mm-hmm. But some people can't comprehend of how we start the idea of, okay, we're going to do a cantilever setup with hydraulics. Okay, and we're going to try to figure out how to do it without certain things. You know, can you walk us through how? Hold on. Every video you post, I would hear you guys talk. See, there you go.
Yeah, I'm 58, turning 59 in December.
Damn.
No kids. Yeah, like that's just they didn't pre-age me. So yeah, getting back to the hydraulics, what a lot of people don't realize is that hydraulics is actually, there's multiple different ways that hydraulics can be set up. So the original system, not talking about lowriders or anything like that, the original engineering system was not that guy again. Oh, Kelly, yeah, I know who this is.
That dude's an awesome guy too, Kelly.
The original system was the Citroens, the French vehicles, and they were a hydraulic ram, and they had a sphere, about a 1 pint sphere, but in the base of the sphere was essentially the foot valve that you would find in the bottom of a shock absorber. So what that did is it controlled yeah, but what that did is it controls the flow of the oil pushing on the accumulator backwards and forwards and acts as the shock. That was the original type of setup. And then there's a couple of other guys that there's a guy in Florida that has that chassis that's on my page going up and down. Well, that one is essentially just like a cantilever, but it's a stock Corvette chassis. And what they've done is similar to what they did with the any level lift trucks that you see, the hydraulic trucks. It's a coilover suspension. So whenever you're driving it, it drives like a coilover. But the hydraulic ram is used to raise and lower the vehicle.
Oh, so you guys aren't using the typical pump setup like
well, the setup I'm doing is actually unique again. No one's done it like this. So there's people that have done it similar. There's 8 hydraulic rams in my system and 4 airbags and 4 shock absorbers.
Oh, okay. I know some of the Volkswagen buses or trucks, T1 type trucks. I've seen a lot of setups that I'm
sure. What they're putting is either a spring, but they're using the airbag to raise and lower the vehicle.
Yeah.
Where my system is the first one that we're using multiple level ride ECUs to control the vehicle, and we're going to pair the ECUs with a cable between each one so that they can talk to each other. So the main ECU will just control the hydraulic ram that raises and lowers the vehicle, and that's a height and pressure. So it can measure up to 3,500 PSI of hydraulic pressure in each corner, and it'll have the pressure and the height reading on it. And then the second one, the ram that lifts each corner is set up in parallel with a smaller ram. So we use a 2-inch ram on each corner, and then the smaller ram is 1.5 inches, and then we have a 6-inch, a TS6 Slam Specialties bag set up on a slider. And what that does is we set our spring rate against the smaller ram because it has mechanical advantage over it. So say, for example, we're running 450 PSI in the front rams. We run
symmetric. Everything just flows like just measurement-wise and symmetrical on how you have it set up, pretty much.
Yeah, it's all done done by calculation. So all we did was we worked out the volume of a tapered sleeve bag, which is fairly straight, and we knew at each height, whatever the pressure was, what our equivalent force or spring rate would be. So then I worked out that I only need an 1.5 inch ram and a 2-inch ram on the there. So we're running around 450 PSI in the front on the ram at ride height, but we're only running 110 PSI in the bag. So that gives us an equivalent spring rate in the front of about 650 pound spring rate, but the shock absorber is also dampened 32 points as well. So 16 up and 16 down. So the ram has the ability to expand and push against the bag. So it gives a nice comfortable ride. And because we can say presets in the pressure system, you've got 5 different comfort levels at every single height setting that you've got.
Okay, here's the question. Like Kelly says, go to level ride air suspension in person. If we could, we would be doing an episode right now from there.
Well, Brian from Grinder TV is actually going to do a feature on it for CK Magazine when it's finished.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, if one of these days one of us are in town, we'll drop by and we'll do a quick episode out of there. Just a quick one and go say what's up.
Well, it'll be in the garage anyway, so it won't be living outside. But.
So for me, your suspensions are unique, and because you guys aren't using a typical hydraulic setup, a pump and a solenoid, and you guys, it's a whole different.
Well, the pump is actually a traditional pump. It's the one that was in my Mercedes, so I'm just I just basically put new seal kit through it. It's running number 9 Mazzocchi gears. I'm running it.
3-wheel.
The what?
Could you pop 3-wheel motion on
Yeah.
your setup?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the manifold is a front, back, side to side. It's a bed dancing manifold from Black Magic.
Okay. Well, fuck. Shout out to Black Magic out there. Fucking.
Yeah.
Getting
well,
together.
it's another thing. I try to use local services, and I've known Ron since I've moved here. I actually met his wife the first week I was here at a show, and she invited me over to the shop, and I've been using Ron ever since for the hydraulic stuff.
Hell yeah. Nice. So you're still running a typical pump. You're just making it more intricate of where it travels to.
Yeah, and I've got a more compact version. This is a prototype that I made a few years ago. This is a hydraulic ram over a shock absorber. So the oil goes through the top, and then single acting one, it has ports in the bottom here to allow the air to come out, and it's a 4-inch stroke. So this will work as a replacement for the ram that's on the corner. And then I'm going to make a bigger version of that, which will replace the airbag. So there'll be 8 of those in the vehicle, and one will raise and lower the vehicle, and then the other one will be a spring weight.
So it's a new version of like the old school air can setup.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, so we replaced the air cans. Generally just ran a similar to a polypack type seal that you'd find in hydraulics, but they're a little bit different. So this will run a similar type of system in it, but it'll be running hydraulic oil in there.
All right, James. I want to ask you this, and I'm going to ask you this off camera at the same time. We need to collaborate because I've been asking lowrider guys, and no one can answer me this question. Okay, and the way you've been, you're speaking to me with this right now, and I sound like a man in church. Is there a way, okay, to take a hydraulic cylinder, like in a lowrider, like a regular 10-inch cylinder, okay, and pump air through it instead of oil?
Not with the seal system they put in it, and the problem is they're 1 5/8. So if you work out 200 psi on an 1 5/8 cylinder, and you do the volume and the maths, it won't be enough pressure to lift or make it move.
Okay, but is there a way to do it? Is there a way to
there wouldn't be enough air pressure for it on that size cylinder. So I'll give you an example. My Mercedes-Benz, my S600 that I had on hydraulics, that had the Black Magic cylinders in it. It had 16 inches of travel in the front and 12 in the back, and it needed 1600 psi just to get ride height because I was running the level ride on it, and in the back it was 800. So now that I'm using bigger rams and I'm using the space up, I can drop those pressures way down to, like my G8 that I had on hydraulics was only running 240 psi in the front, and I had just little piston accumulators in it, and that thing just rode like a Cadillac. Yeah. Okay. That didn't have any shocks. It was just the accumulator, taking up the harshness of the ram.
Okay, but it even if there was a way to swap out the seals and put a set of seals that can withstand that, is it even possible to make something like that?
I think the issue you'll find with air at that sort of pressure, it'll get way too hot. The rams themselves do get fairly warm on the oil, but they're not as hot as when you're trying to compress air, and oil by volume doesn't compress where air by volume does. So you're always going to struggle a little bit with that as well.
I've always had this idea to find, because everyone's like, everyone's like, oh, well, just go get a set of cans, and I'm like, well, then I got to build a whole Honda bracket to fit the cans because that's what they mostly win on.
Yeah.
I wanted to do is figure out a way to take a hydraulic cylinder and figure out a way to pump air through it so you can still.
You even on your Honda, you need a minimum of a 4-inch bore ram.
Yeah.
To do it.
So it is possible. It's just it'll take a lot of work and a lot of math and science to make it
Yeah,
happen.
you got to look at, are you doing it as a passion or are you going to do it for something practical?
No, I'm thinking of it as like I used to have an El Camino on hydraulics. My brothers and them had hydraulics. I got in the airbag. I missed the sound of juice. I missed that, where man, you ever, when you got the toggle switches in your hand and you can just flap with you and go pop a corner, you know, it's fun. You know, instead of waiting a few minutes for an air compressor, you know, or
Well, everything on my hydraulics is controlled from the app.
from the app.
Yeah, I don't have any switches.
None.
So it's all done straight off the app, which I think you've seen before.
Yeah, I saw that. So is that, and that's automatic, right? Like, or do you have to get into like a subscription for it, or is it automatically?
No, it's free. You just download it and go from there. And like, it's what we did is we spent the extra money. A lot of people say, "Oh, but you know, what if this doesn't work, or what if that doesn't work?" So in our system, we have 2 forms of backup built into the system. So if your phone goes dead and you've calibrated and you've set the system up, you can set ride height on start, or you can turn it off. So that's one way. But then there's a little button that we have called the valet or the backup button. And once the system's calibrated, if you turn the key on and ride height on start's not set, you push that button, it automatically takes it to ride. But then you can also have, if you're going to use the car every day, you can have the sleep mode function turned on so that you can stay connected to the vehicle when it's turned off. And as long as you've got battery and air, you can press that button and raise it without starting the car. And then what I use it for, and I get a lot of other people to explain this, is that when you're at your ride height and the vehicle, it's in automatic mode, so you know it's monitoring the ride height. If you're coming up to a speed bump, you don't want to have to reach for your phone or take your eyes off the road. So I've got the switch under the dash, and you give it a single tap, and it takes you from ride to lift for extra ground clearance, and then you hit it again once you've gone past it. It goes back to ride.
Nice. Damn. That's innovative. You know,
yeah.
That's damn.
Well, when I was selling the other products or on the market, you know, for quite a while, I was always bugging them to add that valet button, and none of them wanted to do it. So at the moment, we're still the only company that offers that feature.
Damn, and that's good because I know a lot of us, our phone would die in the middle of something, you know, and it's just like, yeah. I couldn't have that. My phone would die too fast. You know.
Well, I have mine on the charger all the time.
Yeah. Is there? So with that having on what you guys are doing, and you guys are taking it to that level where it's completely hands free, you know, and you're offering, you know, you got the app, you can do anything from it, you know, hit the switches, calibrate everything. Have you had anybody? One way to set yourself apart. Yeah, that is one way to set us apart. Because I remember back then the only company that was setting themselves apart was Air Ride Technologies.
Well, I've known Brett for a long, long time before he sold the business, and Brett was one of the original guys that worked with him. He was the guy that when AccuAir came to them in '99, Brett was the guy that built that first big aluminum ECU in the panel for AccuAir.
Oh, shit. Nice. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was wondering what it was.
I was going to say, Air Ride's been around, what, 50s or something like that? 1950s?
Well, I started in 1999, and I think Brett started in '96.
96. Man. But and that's the thing, like, a lot of people don't, like realize, like, when it comes to suspensions and everything, yeah, we're doing it because we look cool, because we want to look cool, and we want to show off our work. But we're doing it because we want to drive nice, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're not, you know, it's just.
Well, even my old cars, I want to be able to drive them hard. You know, I don't want to just have a cruiser.
Right.
Yeah, my El Camino's got huge sway bars on it. I've got the RideTech shockwaves in the front with all the adjustable valving. I've got Viking double adjustable bags, shocks in the back, and the sway bar, and I throw that thing around.
Dang, I bet. Fucking, and that's a right-hand drive, ain't it?
No, this is the 59, the El Camino.
Oh, yeah. And
it's got a 500 horse LS in it with a 6-speed manual.
Everybody know that? Yeah, and I bet you that skirts down the driveway, man. That thing's probably hard to, you know, take the corner.
It gets around.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people that follow me, you know, on car cruises and everything, they're surprised how flat it goes through, you know, especially when you're getting on the freeway and, you know, and you're coming into the exit, it's still 60 miles an hour and, you know, going straight in on the freeway, and they go, that thing's on bags? And I said, well, airbags is not just the bag that you pick. You've got to get the shocks right. You've got to make sure your ride pressures are correct. and sway bars and everything. It's a package, and that's what makes the difference.
And it's crazy because like I believe that we suspension wise and air and hydraulics has come a very long way of what I remember growing up hydraulics with, and my back still hurts from driving in my brother's Mitsubishi down Central because it was a rough ride. You were putting cylinders on a fucking axle with leaf springs, and you were I think it was 1 or 2 leaf springs on each side is what I think my brother had 1 spring on each side, and then 10s in the front and 10s in the rear on his Mitsubishi. Yeah.
Just straight.
Yeah,
just straight cylinders.
No coils, no nothing.
No coils, no nothing. Just old school lowrider, like just
so
batteries. And
Kelly's asked another question here. That the ECU one, we do the updates.
Oh, how many channels? Ooh.
So your normal ECU has got 8 buttons on it, up and down for each corner. So once you compare with the second app or the second ECU, my third ECU on this truck controls the bed, the electric windows, and the horn, and I'm going to put a remote start in as well, which I'll just use one of the switches on there to operate it. So to answer your question, Kelly, you've got 8 channels available if you're not using it for air suspension. So there's a mode in there called manual mode that you can set up. So in the settings page.
I think Kelly's been wanting to ask you this for a while, but he didn't probably feel like bugging you on the phone. I'm just gonna say he was like, "Well, I got a chance now to ask."
There's an option called base kit.
Oh, okay.
And base kit allows you to just have switches only. It's no presets or anything, and you're just using it essentially as a switch box. But the good thing about our Bluetooth module, since we went to BT5 in September 2021, the BT5 Bluetooth is so much faster and it has a much better range. So we're getting easily 100 feet without any issues. But when you're pressing the switch, when you tap on it, we've measured it with a meter, and our reaction time from when you press it to when it acts on the car is 25 milliseconds, which is nearly 5 times faster than any of the other apps that anyone else sells.
Because there's always a delay. A lot of people always say like, there was another, I don't know what other company has an app like that too. I mean, a lot of people are saying there's like a quick second delay. You hit it and then it'll. I'm like.
Yeah, that comes down to the choice of Bluetooth module. So we know that the ones that they were using are a couple of dollars each, where ours is about $8 or $9 each.
Fucking Kelly, perfect time to ask, especially if anyone else is wondering. And Mike Pannell is watching now, who has it on his dually. Awesome. And Mike Pannell, how is that dually, bro? How are you hitting switches? Or how is the manual mode? And how is the ride height when you're driving 75, 85 miles an hour down the freeway? Because if it's riding like a Cadillac and you can sit there and have it preset, okay, does it adjust like the other setups where when you're driving?
So if you're running our height and pressure, which is going to give you the best ride, when you're doing the calibration on the height and pressure, you always make sure that you're loaded. You've got at least half a tank of gas, so you've got to have someone in the vehicle, similar weight, and then you'll go around and you'll raise the vehicle up and save each of the heights before you go, but try not to cross-jack them. So the system is targeting the height, and then it's using the corner load algorithm to trim your spring rates so that you'll get a better ride. So even if you manage to cross-jack at 4 or 5 PSI, the system, after it does the calibration, goes into an automatic learn mode, and it will look at what you're doing from air out to ride as the minimum amount of pressures, but it's also trying to equalize the pressures even though you've saved them. So it's going back to your height, but it's ignoring the pressures you've saved to a certain point and then trying to equalize those so that you get a better ride quality. And I know a lot of people that swap over from other systems to ours. One of the things that we get the best feedback is that they say it rides a lot better.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of people from the other systems where they're like, well, you have to set the sensor at a certain, you got to mount it somewhere certainly, and then it has to be in the same position. Like it's.
And that's pretty true as well with ours. But on our system, when it's uncalibrated, the needles are set up to change color so that when you're in the correct range in the bottom section, it'll be green. And then when you go up in the top section, it'll be green as well. And anything between that or outside will be red. So what you're able to do is grab the height sensor and move it up and down before you start drilling holes. And I use it like a piece of double-sided tape. And I just work out roughly where I am. I articulate it up and down. I look for it, and then I can mount it, and I get pretty close virtually every time.
Oh, shit. Wow, dude, there's so much geometry into what you do. It boggles my mind because I'm like, well, at least I know there's a little hope for my idea. I just know it'll take a lot of trial and error and trying to figure stuff out. And with your guys' the Bluetooth part and everything that you guys are doing, and it is setting you apart. But has there been anyone that's been like, okay, cool, I'm having a problem with it during its cycle, or it's not going in a certain mode? Is it user friendly for them to figure out the problem?
So any type of error that's related to a sensor not working, anything will pop up on the screen. So there's no flashing lights or codes that you have to go and read a book. It's all in front of you.
Okay.
So the main issues we get is installation issues, and it's usually powers and grounds.
Okay.
On our YouTube page, we ended up hiring an American teacher. Oh, there he is.
Yep.
This is my buddy.
Oh, we had him on the show also. We were talking about a couple of the trucks he built, and then he's got a set of wheels for me. I got to pick up at some point from out in the yonder. From where he lives, from here. Fuck, it's like.
It's a long way.
It's a long way. It's like a lunch. You got to pack a lunch, and then notify family that you're leaving that far just in case, and not drive in the middle of the hot sun.
Well, you just got to make sure your AC's working.
Right. Yeah. My AccuAir comes to my AccuAir V4 on the truck right now has been feta lately. I've been researching new management systems for sure, and Bluetooth setup is the way. I get that part, but for me, it's like, I feel kind of. I wouldn't mind seeing it for myself in person and trying it, before I make the big change to do something like that, because I'm just worried about, like, for me on my convertible, I just want to make sure that if, like how you said, that you guys do have the setup for in case the battery dies, or in case your phone dies.
Well, if your battery dies, nothing's going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just want to make sure
most of the issues.
That part.
Yeah, most of the issues that everybody seems to have is that a lot of people don't realize that magnets on speakers and compressors and everything else can interfere with electrical things, especially Bluetooth. So we put in our instructions that you want to be 2 to 3 feet away from it.
From any speaker or magnet.
Yeah,
okay.
Or if you're going to mount your compressors and your tank and your ECU together, put the ECU on the other side of the tank away from the compressor, because that will shield a lot of it.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, that's good to know, because, shit, I did not know that.
Yeah, but just about every issue we've had is due to installation. The ECUs that we make, we've never had one fail from anything built of the ECU itself. Like the ones that I sold in 2014, there's 2,500, 3,000 of those out there. And the guys that still have them, they're all still going.
Yeah, that's a better record than AccuAir.
Well, I was their dealer from 2005 to 2014, and we pulled a couple of them apart and gave them a little bit of advice on things that we found that were causing them to die, essentially. And when I developed my product, we got a little bit of criticism because we made the ECU very similar. But what we didn't do was make the same mistakes. So we looked into the ECU. We found out what was causing the ECUs to fail, what was causing what's called the baud level, which is the memory part and how it recalls and boots up. And we made a lot of changes in that, and that's where the difference was. And as soon as we changed the baud level back to what theirs was, we had the same problems they were having. So we knew that was one of the main causes of it, that we worked within the electronics side of it, and the power management, the type of MOSFETs that you use for your drivers and things like that are the key to the ECU surviving.
I didn't know that it took that much. Is it raining?
I don't think it's raining. Sounds like it's getting windy though. Hold on.
It's like, fuck. I feel like it's fucking pouring. I just hear like it's.
Yeah, it sounds like it's howling.
Yeah, fucking wind over here. That's okay, but here's the thing. With it being so user friendly, and so when it comes to how you said the bad grounds and stuff, should they just follow the instructions?
Yeah, well, the latest app upgrade that I'm working on, we're actually compressing 2 pages of instructions into the app. So we're putting the learn mode, which is currently manually done, and we're integrating that into the app. So it'll delete a whole page of instructions off the app, and the ECU will actually conduct all of those instructions as part of the calibration now. So that's our next step that we're working on. I'm probably 2 months away from finishing all of that, because once it's finished, I'll put 5,000-6,000 miles on it first before we release it.
Oh shit. Okay, so you put it through its paces before. You don't just get it in and go, all right, send it out, guys.
No.
You're like, all right, let's put it on.
Well,
and
we've got a dozen cars here in town that we'll go around and we'll load the test stuff onto, and I take my laptop with me, and I do a fingerprint of each vehicle, and every vehicle is slightly different, and where the changes are mostly is the how stiff the chassis is decides on how it's going to work. So we're getting rid of the accuracy setting on the ECU, and it's now going to be set by the ECU based on what it sees is the twist in the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot to it that people don't realize.
I was going to mention, James, that I'm not sure your schedule, and I don't want to put it on out there, but I definitely know a couple of years ago you and I spoke through Facebook Messenger or whatever. I had questions once I got an old car of mine, old Civic of mine back. I know you and I were discussing air and hydraulics and everything else, and I mentioned I had hydraulics on it the last time I owned it before I sold it. And I know you were swaying, definitely trying to go for me to go hydraulics, but in either way, I mean, I definitely have always respected, and the fact that any questions that I had for you, I mean, you were spot on, you know, and I understood, you know, if it's something in the middle of the night, when you get up and you're around, you know, answer any questions that I had or whatever. And I know that I've seen that also on other social media pages and everything else, where people's whoever it might be, whatever question they're asking, and you're right there, response, great response time most of the time and everything else, and it's very, very knowledgeable. So just to throw it out, I've had personal, you know.
Well, that's actually the feedback I like. I like to hear stuff like that.
I just like that he gave me a slimmer of hope to bringing an air.
I was going to say that.
You know, he gave me a glimmer of hope to maybe one day me and him will get together and he goes, we will make your hydraulic air cylinder, and it'll just be one. I won't put it on anything. I just want one to be like, look, it's possible to make something like this,
right?
Yeah. And it'll cost a bunch of money if you guys want something like that. I don't want to. It's like whenever there's, and here's the shit that everybody always gets stupid about. And I interviewed Kevin, the All-Star from Lowrider Style Car Club. And when somebody mentioned bags, the first thing is bags are for groceries. And I said it's that episode. I go, well, see, that's the thing right there. That's where I want to take. That's where my idea came from. Was okay. Well, you have a lot of lowrider guys now that are switching to air because they don't want the messy setup of what they think hydraulics are. You know what they see. Oh, well, you know, you got the lowrider guys that are hopping and they're throwing fucking oil everywhere. I'm like, well, because they built it to do that.
Yeah.
He's building something where you want to mob 75, 80 miles an hour and skate it down the freeway. You can do that with no problem. And you know, and you can be able to, you know, not have to worry about any grabbing a wire or grabbing a switch and oh shit, you know. But it's crazy because, you know, you guys your knowledge of how it has to work together, you know, is great, you know, because it, like I said, it gives me a glimmer of hope for one day.
And your nitrogen, your air thing can be done, but the only thing you'll need to make it work is a nitrogen cylinder on board.
So it would pretty much it would have pretty much like everybody when they put, I would have to run just a big old nitro tank.
Well, you'd probably run 2 5-gallon tanks, but you'd have to get them custom made because the tanks are rated for a couple of hundred psi, but you're going to need a reserve pressure in your bottle of somewhere around 2,200 psi.
Oh, I can only imagine. I can only imagine in my head.
Something gets loose and it's like...
Yeah, I understand. Like, I've seen it, like, when people are hopping their cars and the fucking spring will shoot out, or the cylinder will go through their fucking roof, or the back of the trunk.
Well, I had an air hopper in Australia that was made from an Isuzu.
Yeah?
A mini truck, an extra cab.
Yeah.
And in the back, I had a D-size cylinder, which is the large ones that the fire brigade use for refilling the breathing apparatus when they're on there. And the difference with those is they hold 5,500 psi.
No,
so I had a Bauer Junior dive compressor.
Okay.
And I refilled that tank to 5,500 psi, and then I had a reg off the tank that was a high flow reg, and I built 2 25-gallon tanks from like boiler steel. So they were 3/8 of an inch thick steel, and we ran 800 psi in those tanks. And I had the GC Extremes, the 450s. So I had 2 half-inch valves for the up on each corner, and a half-inch SMC for the down. And Slam Specialties were making the XS bags at the time in the 7s. Well, I've been good friends with Nick, so he made me 8 bags for the XSs, but they were 1,000 psi rated.
Oh shit! Scuba tanks with compressors that is used to fill them.
So it was a dive compressor used for refilling scuba tanks, but I was refilling the breathing apparatus tank.
That's badass.
So I put, I think it was 335 bar we put in the tank, which is 5,000 something psi. But at 200 psi, the truck had so much flow because I was using 1-inch hydraulic lines, which was all JIC connectors.
All fitted.
And it was dual port per bag. So at 200 psi of tank pressure, it would still jump 2.5 feet off the ground. But it was a driver. Like, we drove it to the show and drove it home.
What?
I had 12-ply tires on it. They were just the standard 16s, I think. And by the end of the night at the first show, we were doing 6 feet under all 4 tires on a single hit.
Damn.
I've got a picture somewhere on my website. I'll find it after we finish talking. I'll send it to you.
That's fucking sick. See, and that's like I said earlier. He gives me a glimmer of hope, because if we can make one set of 10 cylinders that are on air and duplicate that again.
But it'll ride even harder than hydraulics, unfortunately.
I will wear a back brace if I have to.
You'll need more than that. You'll need to put a cage inside the car to stop it from stressing.
Like, where are you going? To the show.
Maybe driving with a Hans device or whatever.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What's going on with Moses? He can't turn his head.
Like,
it's just straight ahead.
Like, what are you doing? Hold on.
Yeah, why have you got a motorcycle helmet on?
Right? You got to wear a helmet when you get in this thing. Kelly said I had a Nissan with 5/8 lines, half-inch valve. God damn, dude. See, I had when I first bagged the convertible, I was running half-inch lines and half-inch valves, and I would get a small hop, but only if I let the tank like fully.
Yeah, you'll need that 200 psi behind it.
Yeah,
well,
but
one of the features that we've added on the last upgrade, which is in there, is the air out feature on our system. Doesn't let all the air out of the bags, so it uses the bags as a tank. And as you know, you don't start lifting the vehicle at 0 psi. In some vehicles, it can be 10 psi, and others, like the front of my Caprice, it takes 45 psi to lift the front before it moves. and in the back it's 70 psi before it starts to lift. So that Caprice only runs a 3-gallon tank at 200 psi, and it'll come to ride height from air out, and the tank pressure only drops to 180. So if you were going to hop on our system and you had 200 psi and you had the right size bags, but you had that air stored in there, you're more likely to hop because you're already starting with something that's preloaded.
Damn.
We do full-size Cadillacs on 3-gallon tanks.
What the fuck? On the 3?
Like a big body?
Like a fat can?
Yeah, we did a 66 on a 3-gallon tank when it comes to ride height. Because it stores so much air in the bag. So to overcome the front on those is 70 psi, and it's about 55 in the back. So having all of that extra air already stored in the bags and 200 psi in the tank, it comes to ride height, and half the time it doesn't even turn the compressors on.
So that's almost like a backwards safety feature. So it doesn't fully like. So
well, no, it's purely just designed to store extra air.
See, you don't, and not a lot of fucking setups have shit like that.
Yeah, it's done in the calibration. You pre-save it in the calibration.
Dang, dude, you know how good that helps in case like.
Because most people air everything out, empty the tank.
Yeah, I would.
Everything.
Yeah, it'll still drop and lay on the ground.
Yeah.
But it doesn't let all the air out of the bag.
An accumulator.
A tank accumulator, yeah.
Tank accumulator, okay. Yeah, damn, dude, that's.
And we do the same with the hydraulics. Yeah, the front of mine, my C10, I've been playing with it. It's about 240, 250 psi, and about 180 in the back. So when it drops all the way down on the hydraulics, it doesn't let all the oil pressure out. It maintains some of the pressure in the cylinders. So I've actually had to slow it down on 24 volts with the reserve and everything. It was shooting up too fast on a single pump. Yeah, so I've dropped it back to 12 volts.
It was deciding to lock up fairly quick then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't want this to be, going more than an inch per second.
Right.
Okay. And when somebody gets the vehicle completed, do you walk them through the process so
Absolutely.
they can be familiar with it before they drive off? And
yeah, because what'll happen if you I mean, you do it anyway, but if you don't show somebody that and they give their friend to it and they start playing with it, the next thing you know, they've changed the settings and they've messed with it and they're ringing me up.
Yeah, like that friend that always wants to mess with your stereo.
Yeah. We tell people it's not a toy. It's something that's designed to drive and keep the car safe, and that you should, if you're going to let them use it, you need to give them the same lessons that I gave you.
See, that's why next time you need to tell people, this isn't your normal airbag. This isn't your normal air ride setup. You're like, This is not something that you're going to just, this ain't your normal setup that you're just going to hop in and go tit, 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 and go and, this is.
Yeah, we've got customers here in town that we've done more than, one of them I've done 10 vehicles for, and another guy I've done about 7. I've got another guy in Colorado that he's coming up to about 20 cars now. But the thing he likes is his cell phone and his wife's cell phone and his kids have all got the app. And because each one's got its own individual Bluetooth signature, you can just, he's got a sticker that he put on the back of his phone, and it's just got the last 4 numbers of, the 55 Bel Air or the Impala or his truck or whatever, and he can just walk up to it and hit search, and it'll find that truck.
That's tight. That's fucking, that's better than
it always automatically connects to whatever the last vehicle you're connected to, but you've got a feature in the app, and it's what cache is memory. So if you look at the where is it? So on here you've got what's called clear cache.
Yeah.
So cache is memory, which is why some other companies have a lot of problems. And that cache will clear whatever was stored last, and it will conduct a brand new search each time. So I go over to his place with my phone, and the first thing I do is clear cache because I've just got out of my Caprice. And I'll go up, and he shows me the list, and I'll go and do something on one of his Chevelles or whatever else, and I know which one to connect to. He hangs onto his phone, and I use my phone to go and work on his car.
Okay, so here's the thing. So pretty much none of your homies can fucking, unless they have the app.
You can add a password as well if you want.
Okay, so there can't be none of your friends where you're off having a good time and you come back and somebody decided to put your fucking
as long as
car
you put the password in.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
You're at a show or
Yeah,
whatever.
I used to have fun at SEMA. I had all the different apps from the different manufacturers there, and I knew they didn't have passwords, and I'd be walking past with my phone and connect to it and pop their car up or move it and do different things. And because the owners weren't there, and everyone's going like, what the fuck's going on?
I would have laughed if they would have been like in the middle of an interview and be like, hey guys, so we're talking about this fucking 69 Chevelle.
Thanks, Kelly. We'll talk soon.
All right. Oh, hell yeah. Good. All right, Kelly, we'll see you on the next one. That's fucked up, dude. In the middle of a fucking thing and the truck pops open and the door goes, fucking lights start flashing.
That would be fun.
That'd be funny, dude. I would laugh and all of a sudden you see the car go drop and then the guy's like, what the fuck's going on? You just see him in the background. Nobody looks until later on. He's just like,
yeah. And everything at SEMA is about the stand. So when you walk away, their vehicle's fully lifted.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
The guys that have got it on the stand don't know how to fix it.
He puts the whole meaning to the whole Bluetooth thing. That'd be so hilarious, dude.
That would be great.
And see, now we fucked it up because now everyone's gonna start putting passwords on their shit.
Yeah, that's why you should put your password on.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll come and start playing with your car.
Yeah, like that's it. Watch out. Whenever you're at a show, make sure you don't got a setup because fucking James gonna go around and start fucking with your shit. You're gonna come back and the thing's like sitting 3-wheel, but like I didn't put a 3-wheel. Oh, I didn't know it could do that. Yeah, it does. Fucking shit.
Well, one of the other features that we added also was the auto tank drain because you can just go and buy a cheap Amazon valve. We've got it here as a complete kit, and on each new ignition cycle, you can purge the water from your tank in 25 millisecond increments, starting at 25 through to 200, depending on whether you use it daily or whether in Vegas I've got it set on the minimum because there's not that much humidity, but I've got customers in Florida, and they set it at about 100 milliseconds, and it lets the water out of the tank every time you start it, and you don't have to remember to do it.
Oh, okay. Shit. Why? Okay, so damn, I'm stumped on that. Cause damn, dude, that's something. Wait, that's good.
Yeah.
No one thinks of shit like that.
Well, as I said, I asked all of these other companies to do this stuff years ago.
So you were already like, hey man, this is the thing we need to fix. This is what we got to do. We already been testing stuff out. No. A few years later, he's already doing it, and now they're all pissed off because they're like, what the fuck? He's like, well, I tried to fucking tell you guys. I tried to tell you. I try to work it out and have you come in and be a partner and make money with me, but now you're like, no, and now he's doing it by himself.
No, everything's for sale if they want to buy it.
All right, don't say that. Tom's listening. He might come and hit you up and buy some Toyotas from you. If you got any Toyotas back there. Shout out to Tom. Toys for Tommy. Make sure you go and check him out to go check out some stuff. Okay. Well, with
their lives
fucking
on their way back.
You got. Oh, check this out. So the Bearded Beauty is on his way. They're on their way to the house. So. Yeah, they're driving on their way here. So
Streaming on the
streaming on the live.
laptop.
So this is what boggles my mind is like a lot of people don't realize that. Okay, is there a kit that you offer that's universal where someone can put it on any vehicle, or does it take or is it specifically made for the vehicle?
So we build management systems. That's what we specialize in.
Okay.
So you can just buy a base pressure only system if you already have a tank compressor and valves, and you can just add that, and that's $688 for a pressure based. Okay. If you add $510 to that, you can add the height sensor, the harness, and all the pieces, and you can have a height and pressure. One of the most common ones that I sell is Upgrade from AccuAir to Level Ride, where they've already got their height sensors and their harness and their tank and their compressor. So they just buy a pressure-based system from me. They change the configure to height and pressure. They plug it all in, and they've converted over for $688.
Oh wow! Yeah. So it's pretty much a plug and play. That's
definitely.
That's really good. Customer service wise, if anybody has any problems, they can just reach you guys, or like, do they?
Yeah, they can get me on the phone from 7 to 5 weekdays, usually till midday on the weekends.
Don't pull
And Instagram, Instagram's the best place after hours to get hold of me.
James, don't pull at midnight like this guy and wake you up in the middle of the night.
No, I didn't do that.
Like, yeah, he did.
The phone goes off about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
He's like, I'm not seeing it.
He's like, I don't see this right now.
Yeah.
He's like, has there been any difficulties along the way of, have you had any shitty customers that you know?
I've been fairly lucky. I've only had 2 in the whole time I've been here in Vegas. I've had a couple of fraudsters where we've sold them stuff and they had trouble installing it, so they go and file a grievance with their bank. But I've won every one of those cases because I document everything. I keep a screenshot of all the conversations because I try not to do it on the phone. I say to them, listen, I'm going to send you some instructions, or I'm going to explain it and I'm going to put it in writing, so that way you can't say to me, oh, I thought you meant this.
And you're like, no, I put it in writing. It's all right.
I always put it in writing. I try and explain it in my own words, you know, in the simplest terms, and then I keep a record of all of that.
Oh, okay. Trying to make sure. Now we got to.
Exactly.
Huh?
9 o'clock exactly.
Yeah, that's early.
Yeah, it's getting going.
Yeah. What is it? The same time over there? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 9 o'clock. All right, cool. Yeah. This is what I don't understand. Because I like how you said earlier with install. Is it? It shouldn't be that difficult to install it, right? It's just.
So I've got shops that, like high-end shops that have electrical guys working for them. Okay. And I only get orders from them. I don't get technical questions because they fit it, they put it in, they tell the customer all the things that I've told them when I train them initially, and I just get orders. And then I've got other shops where their forte is paint and body and fabrication, but the electrical is not so good. So, you know, I spend a bit more time with those guys, helping those guys out on things like that. I've even had, and I'm going to pay out on, I don't think Jared from Lone Star is listening, but Jared, he has the Lone Star showdown in Conroe in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. I've gone
yeah, both him and Radar and one of the other guys have all got my system. And Jared was saying to me, and he's a marine engineer the same as me, which is why we're friends. And he couldn't get it to connect. He was having problems, and I said, "Well, bring it to the show with you." So he brought it to the show, and I've got a display that's set up on a battery, and I just unplugged it, plugged it in, and then I had my laptop in there, and I was expecting to, you know, maybe there's a problem, and it all started working. I connected my phone to it, and he's like, "Why is it not working for me?" And I said to him, "These are the 3 wires that you've got to check: you ground, your power, and your key on. But you've got to be above 12 volts." And what he was doing was he was checking it at the battery, not at the back where the ECU was, and he was getting a voltage drop from front to rear because he had a bad ground.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
That'll do it right there.
Yeah, and as soon as he fixed that, it's been fine. But I always say to him that there'll be pictures that he'll post up online from Lone Star last year, and they'll have an expression that he's saying, and one of the guys will go, "What's Jared thinking?" And I'll comment, "If only he checked his grounds."
That's fucked up. Shout out to
So I always pay it out on him for that one. Yeah.
Shout out to Jared and Radar, the guys from Lone Star Throwdown.
Sometimes it's as simple.
It is. It is, and I fucking hated that. I've had times where I've sat there and my fucking thing ain't working. I'm like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I already checked this, checked every wire. And then all of a sudden, somebody will come by and be like, "You check your grounds?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I checked everything."
And to check the grounds on the system is easy. You just get a multimeter, you pop the cap off the ECU, the main one, and you put your probe across the power and the ground with it set on volts. And if it doesn't read anything, your ground's not working.
Oh yeah. Well, shit. Okay, so SEMA, and all the things that happen at SEMA. Okay, and I know that everyone's always making fun of the Bluetooth stuff, but now it's real. Now there is no wire switch.
Well, 6-7 years ago, Bluetooth wasn't anywhere near as good as it is now. And you know that iPhone are going to bring out a new phone every year or less. And
yeah, because I see that a lot because like I saw a website and there's this company now that they're taking classic stereos. So like if you have a radio in your old El Camino that you want to save, you send it to them and then they'll refurbish it and then add Bluetooth to it. And
well, that's what's in my El Camino. They're here. They're here in Vegas.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're just down the road from me. They're 20 minutes away. Retro sound.
Nice. So if anybody has a classic car, go hit them up. Go fucking get some stuff. Oh shit, man.
I mean, who hasn't got over 100 apps installed on their phone?
Oh, fucking.
Everybody uses their phone every single day. So the app, I've made sure that the app was as user friendly as any other app that you could use.
You're like, if you can download porn at 2 fucking shots a second, you can use our app. Definitely.
Yeah, we're just dealing car porn.
There you go, car porn. Fucking straight out. Look at those wells. Look at that paint. Look at how it goes up and down. Look at that bed.
Well, you look at some of the videos that we posted recently. That one where I was clicking all the hard lines in.
Yeah.
That's over 2 million views.
Holy crap!
It did a million in the first week.
Dude, I remember what caught my eye was that red Chevy, and you're like, look at how this is, and I saw the video, and I'm like,
you're talking about my C10 with the red chassis.
Yeah. When the bed sits it up, and you're like, yeah, look, this is, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm like, oh shit! I go, that's something you don't see every day. I go,
that's a 2-stage hinge in the back of that, so you can that lays bumper when it lays out, and it lays the fleet side beds are flat on the ground, but it'll lift the bed all the way up and tilt it without hitting the bumper.
Oh shit!
Holy crap!
So the hinge is a scissor hinge, like a scissor lift that you'd see, but instead of being on center, it's off center.
What up, Dan?
So what happens is it starts to lift off center and it moves the bed back and up, and then when it hits the stop, the scissor stays open and there's a stop on the upper part of the scissor, and then it becomes a tilt and it lifts up to 80 degrees.
Oh, you know what that reminds me of? Remember that Dodge? And I know you remember it, and none of you probably remember that Dodge at Lone Star that had that where the fucking whole top would lift, the whole body.
That's half a bed, yeah. It's got the bottom of the fleet side stays there.
Yeah, so that's where I kind of like, I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, I saw that when they debuted at SEMA. I was having a good look at it. I was almost contemplating doing it. I thought, well, no, somebody's already done it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one at Lone Star. I went out there with a friend of mine, and we saw that Dodge, and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, where the whole body lifts off.
And I'm like, damn, dude, that's sick. And then that's what I think of when you were talking about. I'm like, I can only picture the way that it'll go up, and it's just like.
Yeah, there's a video on my Instagram. You can go and look at it. And I actually have gone, there's several videos further back that actually show the mechanism working so you can see how I did it. And I didn't use AutoCAD or anything. I just basically said, well, it has to come to this height before it can get under. So I've got big cardboard boxes that come here all the time. So I made a full scale version out of cardboard, and I just kept moving the pivot and the back of it until the bumper was going to clear.
I can only imagine. I hope somebody took a picture of that, of the giant, all these boxes. And
the local garbage man is actually one of my customers. He's got a 51 Bel Air that we're doing, and I've got the garbage man on speed dial, so he just comes past in the truck and picks up all my extra stuff.
Oh, I bet your neighbors hate you for that one. Like, how come that fool don't come when we need him?
Yeah.
Hey, James, really quick. As you were mentioning just a couple minutes ago about the click-ins, I'm not even sure what the heck you call them or whatever. You were doing it with the hard lines and everything else. Those clips, is that something that you carry or?
Yeah, we're a dealer for Notchhead. So initially I bought the first packet through Summit, and I thought, these are really cool. So I made a little video, and I spoke to Justin over at Notchhead, and I said, we want to do a bit of a video on it. Can you just send me a couple of packets? So he just sent me down a couple, and we put it together. And his phone didn't stop ringing for nearly 3 weeks from that one video. And then they just sent me boxes and boxes of all this free stuff to put on the vehicle. But they don't just do the clips; they do these bolts.
Oh, okay.
And they're the wrench to do the bolt up has got 6 studs around it that gets out, and there's some videos on my page, but essentially it's almost like a piece of jewelry, these bolts. So they've now sent me all of the bolts to put the vehicle together. So all the engine bay has got all that, all the doors and everything else are all got these there, and they now offer complete bolt and clip kits for individual models like Camaros, Chevelles, and things like that.
Oh, that's cool. Huh.
Yeah.
That's nice. Look what you
So
started.
yeah, Notchhead's a good one to check out, but you can buy all of that through us as well.
Nice.
Okay. Do you have a big crew at the shop with you guys, or is it just?
Used to. When COVID hit, we had the factory and we had employees, and no one really knew what was going on, and we were saying, well, we're going to move to Texas, and the county said, well, don't move to Texas. You know, they've looked at where we're living and they said, well, you know, we're renting this place that we're in now, and they said, well, they used to run a home business there, and they asked me what I do, and I explained it all, and they said, yep, we'll just set you up as a hobby for doing the vehicles, and we'll let you run the business because you're just selling parts essentially and putting it together.
Yeah, because no one.
Yeah, so we've had a home business license now, and we've got plenty of room to build 2 vehicles at once, and it's just me. But I've got a buddy of mine around the corner. He's retired. He's a crane driver here in Vegas, and he works on his stuff as well for him and his son. But he's not always busy, so he comes around, you know, with his dog, and our dogs play, and we sit and work on cars together. And he comes to the shows. He came to Lone Star with me. He's coming to the C10 Slowdown with me as well. So
You coming out to Dino's or what?
To where?
Coming out to Dino's in November.
I've already paid.
Oh, you already set up or what?
Yeah, I've already paid for Lone Star next year.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
No, well, I know that I'm gonna go to Dino's because the roommate and everybody else goes. Like they all go to Dino's. Chris goes to Dino's. Like that's the thing to do. And I went last year, which was awesome. And then
that was the biggest one ever last year, and I don't know how they're going to get bigger next year because they almost filled both of the car parks last year.
Shit, they just need to fucking fill up the whole stadium. That's it. You know, just take over the whole thing.
The rent on that's too high, and there's always a game.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
Or one day event. Yeah,
one day
event. But the problem is they're running out of venues that are big enough to host it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get 5,000 trucks over 2 days, and you know, I remember my first Dino's. There was like 55, 60 vendors. We were on the other side of the complex in the car park there, and you know, we had 500 trucks, and we thought that was great. And I've been to every one since, so this will be my 7th or 8th one.
Oh,
and
stadium.
Yeah, and it's every single year. And last year I think it was almost 250 vendors. This year they've got probably a few more again, but they've got unbelievable giveaways. And 3 different engine packages have been given away this year, and all sorts of stuff.
Fucking the co-host, Bearded Beauty, was like, I think he was trying to figure out where he can go get raffle tickets.
I think it comes as part of your entry. You get it as an entry, so you get 1 raffle ticket when you come in.
We go, Valerie, the camera profesh from the crew here at Lay Frame says we go every year too.
So she's got a camper, has she?
No, she's the camera lady for us when we travel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you get those, like when Michael J. Fox has an episode and everything shakes. Like some of the views will be like that, but
a couple more of these.
Yeah, a couple more of these. Yeah.
But focusing fluid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh man, I can only imagine how funny it is at it's Vegas. 2 in the morning out in the middle of the desert somewhere with James Clark. Shit. Dude, I just want to know, is there anything that now that you look back, do you think that we've come a long way in the industry of suspension-wise, air ride, customs, or do you think we're going to be spazzed out by some new fucking electric crap?
I mean, if you look what's been developed in China now with these vehicles that can turn on themselves and they can jump and things like that.
Well, you made see that sounds bad. He said turn on themselves.
Well, yeah, do a 360. they've got individual drive now for all four wheels, but they've got them so they can dance and jump. Well, that was something that some of you guys might remember when Bose brought that system out years ago, and it's essentially it's an oval-shaped electromagnet, and they're using the magnetic force to push and raise and lower the vehicle on it. And I think that's going to be the next thing. Yeah, because like anything, when it comes out, it's new and it's innovative, it's expensive. And then production costs and everything get down and they're able to produce it. I think we'll be, within 5 or 6 years, I think you'll find electromagnetic suspension will be the next thing that won't replace airbags, but it'll be competition for it.
It'll be like the fancy version of, like, if you want something clean, super ahead of its time, it would be.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I'll probably be retired by then, but I'll be watching it.
You'll be watching it. And maybe he might come out of retirement one day and go, I think I can pull that off. And come up with some crazy magnetic suspension out of nowhere and be like,
well, I already know how it works. So they're just using the same battery packs that drive the electric motors, because you can't do it on 12 or 24 volts. You need a lot more voltage.
Well, if you need a tester vehicle, I do have a Mazda.
I've got 1,001 volunteers.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I got a parts truck in the backyard. I got yard art. I have my other, what used to be my other daily bag.
I've got 6 cars here.
6? Damn. And a few more. No,
I think Moses is trying to. Hey, you need one more.
Hey, you need one more? We'll go 7.
Yeah, no, I've got no room for more. I sold a couple of them. I used to have a lot more than that.
Oh shit. Damn. When it comes to everything that you're doing, suspensions and being innovative and trying to be ahead of the game, do you feel that there is more competition for you out there to take it up to more levels because of more stuff that's evolving? Or do you think that, you know what, like, okay, we're here and we capped it off right there at a certain point?
I think it's been capped for a fair while. Inside of companies like Airlift and Acura and everything else, with all the changes they've gone through, there's been no real development or anything changed much. And I think everything at the moment really comes down to who's got the best marketing budget, because I don't spend 5-10 grand a month on marketing, so I'm seen on every single page. We've got 6 to 8 months worth of work ahead of me, and I could have even more if I took more on. So I'm not spending all of that extra money to sell Level Ride, because we're getting so much repeat business just from there. I mean, the companies like the Cadillac Kings and all the other bits and pieces, we've done so many of their cars, but nearly every job that's coming in over the next 6 months is from someone else's friend that we've done before.
Just word of mouth. And that's what we do it, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, nowadays, like, that TikTok video, the videos that you've done on mine, and I believe we come to the point now in media that you don't really need marketing. You just got to toss a couple videos out there and somebody.
I can't remember what the word is. There's certain sounds that men like that women hate, and they generally make the best videos.
You make the sounds that we like to hear.
Yeah. But, just the hydraulic noise going up. I mean, I got Brian actually to do the mashup, and we did Queen "We Will Rock You" to hydraulics and the switches, and it was the with the switches, with clicking them all in.
Oh shit!
And that did really well. Just doing things like that.
Brian, you got to put that out there so we can watch that. I want to hear that.
It's on my page. We posted it up. Brian made that for me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, and I was going to say, just even with the, back to those clips and you put in the hard lines.
Well, that's what we were using. That was the clip was that noise was the clap out of "We Will Rock You."
There you go.
When we finished here, go on the Instagram page, just scroll through the reels, and you'll see it. It's from a couple of months ago.
How many shows are you doing in Vegas or in town?
Well, at the moment, I'm trying to get my C-10 done. I'm running into a few issues with the fuel injection that I bought from England at Geneva. We initially thought it was going to work with the Holly Terminator X Max, but we're finding that we can trick the return voltage signal to make that part of it work, but we can't get past the calibration of the throttle. And the motor that drives the throttles isn't the same start voltage now. We found that. So this afternoon, the job that I was starting on this afternoon is I've got one of the brass valve LS3 fly-by-wires, and I've chopped it up, and I'm going to make my own fly-by-wire so that it's a direct plug into the GM harness and for this manifold.
Damn. Yeah, because, well, fuck.
Once you get that in, it'll be
Oh,
good,
yeah, it's game over with that once you get that tuned in.
Is there, just speaking of that, is because it's from the UK, is it something, maybe the way that they made that kit?
Yeah, does it make a difference?
Well, they made it to suit their ECU, so it doesn't run the same voltage parameters. And I thought, well, I was just thinking, you know, because of my electrical background, and electricity is electricity, if I can get it to act and do where it wants to, because not all of them work through the whole range. Some of them start 10% above and finish 10% below, depending on the travel on them. So I figured I could take it and index it slightly so that it got more of a head start, because all you're doing is you're calibrating the total travel. And it's the same with the height sensors. You know, they're all, you can do something similar.
The response? What about the throttle response? It's like, was it just because of the throttle response, or was it because it wasn't?
It didn't have the initial start voltage that it needed to move it.
Oh shit! So what?
Yeah, because what we have for ECUs obviously is programmed way different than something in the UK.
Yeah, they've done their own thing with the voltage and stuff like that, and it's been done on purpose so that you got to buy their ECU. But the manifold was already $4,000, so. I said I'd take you and show you a couple of things.
Yeah, it's about that time. We can check out a shop tour.
Can we turn the camera around on this or not?
You can. No, I don't know. I don't know if you can. Chris, can you or no? Can you turn it on? I don't think so.
Let me do. I just got to get my flip flops on so I don't get metal in my feet.
Oh yeah, I don't want to get metal.
You're wanting to flip it?
Yeah, can you flip?
Yeah, you should be able to. So I'm not sure.
Okay,
but I know that there was something that.
I just wonder. I just wonder if it's the little camera thing that's on the thing. Hold on.
No. So.
Okay. All right. Cool. He wants to know if he can flip the camera. He wants to flip the camera to show.
You can see that?
Yeah, I can see. That's a fucking sick LS.
So this had their fly-by-wire on it.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't working, so I went and got an LS one. I'll just put this here.
James, at the bottom of your screen, do you see like?
I basically cut it up.
Oh, okay.
And I pulled it all apart, so now I've got the motor and the 2 bolt holes, and I'm gonna put that down, and I'll put the lever and everything on it because it rotates in the correct direction. So I'll make an adapter tomorrow to go onto that so that I can have my own fly-by-wire working off the GM harness.
Okay. Bearded Beauty says that you can flip the camera. I don't know if you can see a little camera on the bottom of yours. On the bottom
I'm touching on the screen. Oh, there's something right down the bottom, but it's not.
It's showing. Yeah, okay.
There's the volume, there's the camera, and there's something else down there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out if it'll flip from there or not. Does that flip?
There is a flip.
Nope.
Nope.
Fuck, hit it again. Damn it, Nut. Shit, I can't get off my phone to text it.
What's going on, Chris?
Okay.
Yeah, that button cuts it off. It doesn't do anything else.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, I've got basically all of everything's in the garage here. Here's the truck. You know.
Damn, that's sick.
These are those bolts that I was telling you about on the doors.
Oh, those are sick. I like those. It almost has that like a bullet look.
Yeah, and here's my wiring nightmare that I'm dealing with at the moment.
Holy shit, dude. That is. Dude, you know what that looks like? That looks like my harness for my fucking motor. Look at that.
There's all the solenoids and everything to operate the bed and the hydraulics. We've got the old school street charger.
Oh shit, there you go.
do that, and then all the American Auto wire, all the Dakota Digital, and then I got the dash from Dakota Digital as well, and it's vintage air, but I like the resto mod gauges and all the other stuff, so I've got all of that in here, and then
because you can wire. Yeah, you can wire it.
Yeah, we've done all the hood liner and up in the top and everything as well.
Right.
All the bed's done in the fake wood so that you can, if you ever want to change it, you can.
Nice. That's clean, man. That looks so clean.
But yeah, this is like a triple car garage. So I just have the one in the center, and we do all the final assembly in here, and we do all of the hot work and the cutting and everything outside.
Oh shit.
But I don't know if there's a light around the side of the house or not, but just turn all of the outside lights on.
Yeah, Valerie, right? The color I like the way that bed was.
Oh no, it's pitch black out there. I don't think. Let me see if I can grab an LED light.
They'll be like, I got you. He's like, find my man. Check out the light. Look at my El Camino.
My dog's upstairs.
I was thinking about trying to go super sunshine. Knock that out. Just for shits and gigs.
These are the Holdens.
Oh shit. Oh, that's fucking badass.
So this one's already bagged.
That is the fucking El Camino of Australia.
Well, no, they were by themselves.
No, are they?
Yeah.
Were they?
It's not an El Camino.
No, but it
is an El Camino, but these were sold by Chevrolet in South Africa as El Caminos with El Camino badges on them.
James, I was also showing him wait a minute.
Yeah.
The blue one is
That's
also?
a Holden. Yeah. They're both. Yeah.
Oh man, it looked like it was the coupe.
No. They're
but
both
they do, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they're
the Holdens. Newer age became Pontiacs.
Yeah,
but Holdens by themselves.
Yeah, you're
they're next. Once the truck's done, they're coming inside and they'll get done and I'll start driving them.
Okay.
I got the old camper shell here.
Nice. He's talking about is the newer version of the Holden. The one that looks like
it was based on the G8.
Yeah, there you go. The one that has the front of the GA, yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those. I had the GTO version, and I also had the G8 version.
I know. I saw those pictures. Those are fucking sick, dude. And that's what's tight because, like, in Australia, they have so many cars that we can't get here.
No, they import them here. You can buy them here. You just got to get them through one of the dealers over in Denver.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I always thought you couldn't. Good to hear that.
That's what I thought. The blue El Camino.
He's talking about the two-door version Holden.
Which one?
That one.
Oh, the HQ Monaro. Yeah. So those cars outside. That's the El Camino version of that car you just showed me a picture of.
Okay, that.
Yeah.
So okay, but that is an original. Those are two original Holdens, right?
They're all original. Yeah.
Damn, dude, those are badass, man.
That's crazy.
Those are sick to see those.
Well, the blue one, I bought that here in America.
Yeah?
Yeah, I bought it off another Aussie that I knew here.
Didn't have to import it.
Didn't have to import it. Like,
he did. It's already been registered, so all I got to do is put a motor back in it and fix a few things on it, and it's ready to go.
Nice.
Well, I'm just gonna ask this because I don't know if he can point me in the right direction. Well, you never know. I got a 94 Ford Ranger motor. I have a wire harness that is very difficult to find. But the wire harness I have looks like spaghetti crap. And I attempted to figure out how it looks all together. They cut a bunch of stuff. And, like, the fuse block area, everything's cut real slim, so there's not a lot of feed. I'm kind of lost. I'm trying to figure out if maybe, like, I've looked at other websites for wiring harnesses and stuff like that, but I don't know, maybe you might know someone that has dealt with it.
You're talking about replacing a stock wiring harness?
Or fixing it.
Well, whenever we build a vehicle from scratch, we just buy an American Auto Wire Highway 22 kit. But if you're trying to do a restoration and put all the standard stuff, and it's a newer vehicle, what year is it?
The motor is a 94 Ford Ranger, and I'm shoving that motor into an 88 Mazda pickup.
So 88 is still prior to any CAN bus or anything, so it'll all be just standard 12 volts. But I would just go and find a donor vehicle and unpick the harness from it.
Okay. All right, so it's more. All right. I just got to hunt one down because for some fucking stupid reason,
you can find V6.
For some stupid reason, you can find a 94 Ford Ranger V6.
3-liter V6.
Yeah, 3-liter, but you can't find a fucking 4-banger. It's worth the shit. You can find a 92.
Yeah, that's something that I don't deal a lot with.
I just didn't know if maybe you knew someone in that wheelhouse that you knew that was similar, that rebuilt harnesses or.
No, not for that. Anything LS that we do or Coyote motors, they come with everything already when we buy it. It's like, don't reinvent the wheel. If somebody out there is already making it, it's a proven package. Just go and buy it and put it in. Yeah, you're still going to make the money on the labor for doing the job anyway.
True.
Yeah. Oh shit, boy, I didn't think of it that way. The only difference is it's my labor, and now I got to fucking find the harness.
But when you're running it as a business, you look at it totally differently.
Yeah. Because that's always like that's the thing where a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of people see the TV shows, see everything else. You need a refill or what?
No, I'm good.
You're already popping the refill now. Look at that. Do a quick cheers. It is 9 o'clock at night. Do a cheers.
Well, it's the weekend. It might be time for the whiskey
soon.
All right.
Fucking cheers. Air cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Look, I just want to figure out is with everything you're doing, you're making innovative ways. Will there be a time where you're going to get stumped, where something's going to come at you and you're going to be like, oh shit, I can't figure this out?
Yeah, I've been stumped once or twice. I mean, I don't play with ITB fly-by-wire systems. This is the first fly-by-wire, but everything you look at is mechanically, it either breaks down into something mechanical or it's something electrical. So if you're stumped with it, just take a step back, go and think about it for a minute and go, well, I know how it works, I know what it's meant to do, and you just work back the other way.
Oh, okay. Okay, here's the question. Do you, like, and I asked you earlier, and we're talking about custom cars and custom vehicles that you've seen and you guys are building and stuff like that. Do you feel Tesla and the electric conversion kits will be a new mod that you're going to have to deal with at some point to get it done? All right, that's all I needed to know.
Don't want to know about it.
Don't over-engineer it, right?
I just don't understand why you would take a classic car and try and put that stuff in it.
That's okay, at least, and that's the thing where I ask every guest that same question.
Yeah, at SEMA, when I go and I'm walking everywhere around SEMA, I walk straight past that section. That's the only part of the car scene at the moment that I don't like.
Because it's okay. Do you feel it's like the snap tight? Remember the snap tight models?
What?
Remember the old model cars where you would just snap it together and you never needed glue? You ever remember those?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Do you think that, like, when you look at the electric part, do you think that's what it is? Like, you're not really,
No, the thing with electrics at the moment is, to me, is the safety factor with it. I look at stuff and I go, what happens if you're in an accident, or what happens when this happens? I look at the scenarios of things that, if you're going to go to all that trouble to do the battery packs, and you see people all the time, their cars catch fire in the garage, and they get in a small accident, they can't put the fire out. To me, they haven't got them to a level yet where they're safe.
Okay, so for you, it's like, why do you want to blow yourself up?
No, it's just a safety thing. I mean, you could blow yourself up driving too fast in a car and make the same mistake. But what's he got?
The laptop showing how he's watching, how he was doing everything.
Micromanaging from
micromanaging from far. So, well, that's the thing, and that's good because, like, it's too good. So afterwards.
I mean, I've driven a Tesla, and they go great, but they've got no soul.
So okay, and I know how you said you passed by there.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Do you think later on, like, and I've seen several cars that converted, like, I've seen a 55 Chevy that's all electric, and a 39 Ford. I feel that's like the easy way out. Like you got a lot of money, but you just.
Well, I think that one of the deciding factors will be the cost of the materials, and with everybody now fighting each other for the minerals needed to make them, you've got a lot of big companies like Toyota, even Boeing, and a few others are now pushing to hydrogen. Hydrogen, you can buy there's a company in Canada that brought out a machine about the size of a container, and you can put it in the middle of the desert, and it can extract the oxygen and the moisture out of the air, and it can produce a hydrogen-based liquid fuel without any mining or without anything more than just running it.
Okay, I don't think you're talking about this because the government might be watching, but are you fucking...
Well, no, they've got a patent on it. They've built a plant in Tasmania in Australia already, and Porsche are on board with them, and they're going to be developing these hybrid hydrogen engines and motors and everything. And if you know anything about hydrogen, it's very corrosive, so they're working on the stainless steels and the systems and everything.
If our guests don't know, hydrogen is pretty much fucking water.
Well, the H2O.
Yeah, it's fucking water. So if everyone's gonna send me messages later on,
This, I don't know. You said to me before about being stumped and having to know what the problems. Mm-hmm. As I said, the solutions are right in front of you. They've been there all this time. It's like medicine and everything else. I think personally that our solution to our fuel and drilling and refineries and everything is hydrogen, and that's where we'll end up.
Okay, here's the thing with that, like how we're talking about, do you think at some point you're going to sit there and go, if somebody comes at you, somebody walks in your shop and goes, hey, I want to build my 65 fucking Chevy, and I want to go hydrogen. Can we make that happen? If
it's available, yeah, because it's no different than buying an LS package that's already done.
And I know Honda
Toyota
had a Clarity model called the Clarity that ran off of hydrogen. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because several states that sold them, most of the states asked to have the car sent back, and there's only, a handful of owners that still have not sent them back. And they never sent anything why they wanted them back, but I know that most of them ended up like desert area in the Bakersfield, California area, like big, huge lot.
Yeah.
They put all these cars there and everything else, and nobody had anything. There were a car there one day, and then not there the next.
I think with the hydrogen part, I think it'll be more difficult for your average car builder to be like, all right, fucking people are already spending 10, 11 grand on a motor. You're spending a regular suspension. I know when I say this, everyone laughs. A basic suspension built by you guys. How much is that out the door?
Well, if you buy the height and pressure management, which is the same for every car, a pressure-based one is around $1,700, and it's $2,280 for the height and pressure management. Okay. And then if you do a car that's bags and brackets, like an Impala, for example, 58 to 70, you can be out the door with parts for less than $3,000.
Damn, that's a good number. That's a number you don't hear that very much.
But this is where the price starts to change, though, is that classic cars are still running on 12 volts with very low output alternators, and you're putting modern electronics with all of these vehicles. The first thing that we do is we upgrade the alternator to a 14.8 high output at idle. So we do a 245, a 300, and a 400 amp, but both of the 300 and the 400 are serpentine drive. But as a minimum on all the classic cars, when we quote something that somebody wants us to fit, we say to them, well, you're going to need to do the all the electrics first. We go through and we change a lot of the grounds out. We've done just small jobs where someone's brought a vehicle into us and it's got electrical problems, and all we did was went through the vehicle and we put 12 new grounds in it and redid it, and they all went away. And it was a day's work. It cost him, with materials, it was $800 or $900 to do it, everything with parts and labor, and the vehicle was just suffering because it had bad grounds.
Okay, with the setups that you guys are doing with the hydraulics and everything, the accumulators and and the bag setups, and taking the measurements from a slim bag to be able to work everything together and flow together, is it easy for when somebody has to do repair work to switch out a bag?
Yeah, it's all on bolts. It's just bolt in, bolt out. I've made the bolt so it slides in just like a deep in. And you just take that out, which separates the ram and the bag, and then you undo the 2 bolts at the top and take it out and put another one in. But I've been using slam bags now. I've been a dealer for them since 2000, and I can still count on one hand how many times I've had to replace one of their bags.
Okay.
So it's like anything. You can go and buy a cheap bag, and it costs you $80 or $90, or you can buy a really good slam bag for $120 with tax out the door, and they're chalk and cheese in how long they'll last, how well they work. Okay. You don't save much money on bags by buying cheap bags.
No, because later on you get to fucking blow out on the freeway or blow out on the road.
Yeah, you got damage to your vehicle, you got towing. Your insurance might not pay out, all for the sake of paying an extra $100 for a set of 4 bags.
I think it's rare when you get an insurance company to pay. Haggerty, you got Haggerty.
There's like 3 insurance companies that'll actually appraise your vehicle as a whole.
All the insurance companies are underwritten by 4 or 5 companies only.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Some insurance companies will pay out for a bag.
Oh shit, that's fucking
weird.
If
you blow a bag, they're okay. Cool. Your suspension.
Oh yeah, because it's part of the vehicle and it's a safety feature.
You damage your bumpers and say your fucking fender.
I would love to see that shit in a body shop, dude. Roll up to fucking what's it? Fucking crash collision, and you see a fucking someone's bagged out truck. What's that in for? Oh, got to replace the fender and fucking replace the airbag in it. Like, what the fuck? That's to me that I don't think that. I don't know. This doesn't sound real to me. Like to hear an insurance company replace an airbag for you. It's becoming of age. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with the hot rods.
Oh yeah.
You do hot rods.
But most of the time, the cost of an airbag isn't anywhere near how much your excess is anyway.
Yeah. Dylan, what up, Dylan? Out in Washington. That's nuts because that's the thing though, because with everything that's, when it comes to that and you're sitting there fucking doing that shit, and then you have other companies that are, we can figure out this problem. We can do it on that way. And then you got him where he's going, well, you know what? We're going to fucking eliminate everybody and their mother, and we're going to give you this app. We're going to make sure it works easy friendly. We're going to make sure that our management systems work friendly with any application, and you're not going to have to deal with calling Habib in somewhere in fucking, out in South
world.
Yeah. Yeah. HR's coming after me now. But it's the fact that you're offering that kind of high, I'm going to say like high grade setup, because it's like you look at setups and it's like you got Chad Chris, you got you, and now it's like you got you, Chad Chris, because you're offering a different, you're almost, okay. Oh, yes, he does offer it, like he did say he does offer a universal setup that you can wire to another block.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a Chad Chris, you can wire his setup to the Chad Chris.
Yeah, and I ran one of Chad's valves about 5 years ago. I ran it in my car when he first started building them.
Yeah, we interviewed him. He's a man of Stanley Cups. If you ever need any Stanley Cups, if you ever need any of these.
That's a Yeti.
Well, he had a bunch of these in the background too. If you ever need something like this, hit up Chad.
I'm like, that's a Yeti. My
got a
family's
whole
in the back.
rip in the back. When we interviewed him on the show, I didn't know that you can collect that many cups. But no, but that's the thing, because I like how yours is more user friendly. It's innovative, and it's not difficult to be set up unless operator error you install it incorrectly.
Yeah, it's like anything. Most people skip over the instructions, and the first thing that's on the top of our instructions says, "Don't assume anything."
And like most men, it's always.
I don't know if I've got. I don't think I've got a spare print out here, but yeah, the top of the page doesn't say instructions. It says, "Don't assume anything."
Don't assume anything. Holy shit. See, that's how you know, because you're gonna grab it and you're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, cool." Whoop, throw it out the window. And then later on, you're going, "Shit, where's that paper go?" And then you're sitting there going on Messenger, "Hey man, I don't remember where I don't remember where I put that paperwork at 11 o'clock at night. I don't remember where I put that paperwork."
Yeah.
Me.
Well, if they're on their phone texting to me, that it's all on the website anyway, so you can just download it.
You get a message, it's like, "I don't want to be a dick, but go on the site." And you'll be like, "Okay, cool." Bam. You know, and that's the thing, because nowadays, back then, we would have had to call fucking on the landline.
Yeah.
Send a letter to try to be like, "Hey man, we want to go down there and check it out." Okay, go send a letter. 8 to 10 business days by the time you get the letter.
Up until recently, one of the companies, I won't name her, when you have a tech problem, they just reply with a form. That's not tech support.
Nah, see, fuck. That's the shit I fucking can't stand. Like, to me, I hate that. If you can't sit there and send me a message back and be like, "Hey man, get to me in the morning and I'll help you figure it out." But if you're gonna send me just a form, even if it's in the daytime.
Yeah, I don't do forms. I know for a fact that just about every tech call I get, I can solve the issue in a few minutes.
Okay. And majority, like you said, it's always been operator error.
Just instructions, and the biggest thing I think a lot of people do is that they're good at some things and they're not good at others, and you got to have your instructions sort of covering both sides of that, to allow for guys who want to do it themselves, but it's not their forte. They're good at being an accountant, or they're good at something else, but they're not good at this.
Is there anything specific that, like certain size rams and cylinders you use specifically for builds, or like does somebody come up and go, "Hey man, I want you to use 8-inch cylinders around"?
No, they'll generally tell me the stroke length that they want.
Okay. Or they're like,
once you get over 6 inches of stroke length, you have to start going to cantilever setups and things like that.
Oh.
And the good thing with hydraulics, it doesn't matter. See, my backs are running a 2-to-1 ratio in the back, and the front's 1.625 in the front.
Oh shit, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad, pretty good.
But I've still got 12 inches of travel in the front and 14 in the back on the truck.
Fuck! That's some travel, especially with that.
That's a lift.
Yeah, that's super lift right there. You might go 4x. Dan Paz, he just passed you up on 4x4 mode. Friend of ours.
It's good at the drive-through when you're coming through for your KFC. You can just lift it up and get up to the counter, and then you drop it to drive back out.
Yeah.
I took one of my Holdens that I went to KFC just as a joke, and we reversed through so that the steering wheel was on the side closest to the thing, and we reversed through the KFC.
I can only imagine the person in front of you, like person pulling up to the drive-thru, and all you see is fucking headlights, and this fool and fucking. We like to order. Can I get a bucket?
Oh, they will have their video cameras out. They'll kill themselves laughing. And when I take my dog in the car, of course he's standing up in what is usually the driver's seat. So I was trying to work out how I could mount a steering wheel to the dash, like a fake one for him to put his feet on.
That would be awesome.
Oh,
people would pull up at the lights and they say, "Hey man, you're on the wrong side." And I just say back with an Aussie accent, "Mate, I'm on the right side. You're on the wrong side."
Just sit there and be like, "Oh, it's a new driver."
Yeah, as soon as they hear the accent, they know.
Oh, they're like, yeah, we get.
There's a truck on TikTok that goes backwards on purpose. Like
They flip the body.
Oh, yeah.
But the both seats are backward, or one faces forward, like you're.
Oh.
Is facing forward on the truck.
Yeah.
But the driver is actually driving
They got
backwards.
pulled over by a
They
cop.
got pulled over by a cop, and he's like, "What the hell's going
Oh,
on here?"
yeah.
Who's controlling?
Yeah, that's that trend that everybody's turning their vehicles around.
Yeah, they're upside down. Yeah.
Upside down and all that. It's like, yeah, okay.
That would be funny if it's like skating off the ground, an inch off the ground, or it's popping 3-wheel in a fucking parking lot. That'd be the trip. Fucking upside down car popping 3-wheel.
Well, my truck has got 15 by 15s on the back with 29 by 18 tires. So, yeah, I got a 6-inch wide on the front, so it's going to look pretty funny as built as a pro touring truck doing a 3-wheel.
That'd still be sick as fuck though. You could be
But that red El Camino that I had, the G8 one when I was in Australia, we used to do track days with that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we'd go out and chase the other Maloos and and we'd come into the pits and then just air out right next to them.
Oh damn. I bet you that fucking pissed them off like fucking assholes. Damn, and then lift up and go. Yeah. Well, yeah.
That had Coney shocks all round in it, all double adjustable. Yeah, we custom built all the struts back then for them.
I have questions. And I know it's on the target. All right. I'm laid out right now, and I'm measuring for a shock. Do I measure layout, what I'm laid out, and then, or do I jack it up and then go what I'm be when it's extended? That's because I've had shocks. Like on yard art, I bought some fucking shitty.
Are you talking about the handling, or are you talking about setting the height?
Like the setting the height to
So that's all done in the calibration in the instructions. It actually pops up on the screen and tells you how to do it.
Oh, there you go. Damn, dude, that's his. Yeah, dude, makes you want his setup, man. Shit, fucking.
Yeah, as I said, the whole thing's intuitive. You know, if you can read and follow instructions, you can set this up pretty quickly and get it running. And the calibration on the pressure only takes about 2 or 3 minutes, and the height and pressure one's about 4.
Okay. I was always wondering, for me, like when the way, like I see how you did the Chevy, that setup, and some of the other vehicles. What plays more in the design is to make everything flow together and sit correctly and fit under the bed, or just
the Chevy. I had the chassis design and the wheel size. The chassis is 4x2 CNC rolled, so it's one piece. And then I built a table in the garage out of heavy steel. Actually, the camper shell was sitting on it outside. And then I went and bought a cheap laser from Amazon with all the finders, and I built the table and laser leveled and got it where I wanted, then welded it together. And then I took the stock chassis, so I had all the body mounts and all the bits and pieces on it, and made a jig off the stock chassis, and then basically built the truck from scratch that way. I took the stock front end, and before I took it off the frame, I welded it to the chassis table, and then unbolted it from the front of the frame rails and lifted it out from there, and then laid everything back in and laid the new one in.
Oh shit! Yeah, see, I wouldn't figure to do that.
It's way cheaper than spending $20,000 on one that's already made. I built that whole chassis with the 4-link and the front for under $5,000.
Okay. Okay. How structure and how thick a metal are you using on that? It's
4x2 with 180 wall, and we didn't go tight on the radiuses because that's where you lose some of the strength.
It's not a semi-wave. I know.
Yeah, it's heavy.
That's some fucking
It's structure. You want reliability.
This truck, when it's finished, it'll be over 4,000 pounds.
Okay. Has anybody dragged on your setup?
No. This one is one of the first ones. We've only sold a couple of the hydraulic setups. We do have a hydraulic one. It's not listed on our website, but it's mainly just to design. It's a system that's designed to work with a ram and just basic accumulators, not like a spring one, because if you put springs in and try to run this system, you're getting the oscillation of the springs up and down and the movement, and it can't get to where it needs to be.
Okay. So you wouldn't be able to drag it all.
Well, you can drag any setup. It doesn't mean whether it's hydraulics. It's where you set your bump stop height.
And your vehicle, the vehicle that you build, still has bump stop height, like where you.
No, I'm using the internal bump stop on the Ram. So the linkages on the rocker arm are left and right hand threaded. So once I know where I want it, I just screw them up or down to. So if I don't want it to hit the ground, I just add a couple of turns to it, and it'll be like a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch off the ground if it's flat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude, that's pretty cool. I didn't think of it like that. I grew up when it was like old school setup, so it's good to know more where it's more like the math and the science part and the geometry part about it, because now I understand that it all has to be flown together to be able to work properly, because one if you're off by a couple inches, something's not going to work correctly. Something's going to bind up. You know.
And we drew the rocker arms and the rams and everything on the AutoCAD so that we could calculate the travel and the size of that, and then everything else, all the plates and everything, they were all just plasma cut out, and then we used a tube to connect the left and the right hand plates as a cross member, and then mounted all the anchor points for the ram so that they're facing forward. Because initially, before I was going to put a tilt bed on it, I was going to do a swing arm cantilever behind the axle. But because the wheels are so wide and my chassis is only 32 inches wide, I ended up having to put them in front on the top.
Oh, shit. See, that's...
Because that rear end's only about, I think it's only 49 or 51 inches or something wide.
That's short. Well, yeah.
Well, those tubs were made by Otis over at GMSS. He hadn't done them that wide before, so that was the first big set that he made.
I can only imagine that thing just fucking getting off the ground and fucking flying down the road.
Well, as soon as I get this throttle body fixed in the next day or two, I'll be ready to start it up and drive it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can get that done, man. Hopefully you can.
Well, I'm trying to make slowdown. I'm trying to make CT slowdown and get it ready for that. But if I don't get enough miles on the truck, because I drive all my stuff, so if I'm confident and it's brand new, so I'm still learning little things here and there and tweaking stuff. But if I'm confident enough, I'll just jump in and I'll drive it to slowdown. If not, I'll just take my El Camino.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
But I've driven the El Camino to Texas and back. I've driven it to San Francisco and back several times. I've gone to Dino's and back with it 7 or 8 times.
Wow. Yeah, what are the shows? What are the shows you're going to attend? Are you going to try to?
I'm going to do C10 Intervention.
Yeah.
As I said, I paid for Lone Star, paid for Dino's. I'm on standby to be on the POR 15 stand for SEMA this year.
You ever come out for Cruise to the Pine?
I've done that before. I came down to my El Camino for that, but I might do that next year.
Okay.
And come down for that. I've got to weigh up whether I stay here and work on customers' cars and knock that up and go there, because if I'm starting to run out of work, I'm going to do more shows. But if I've got so much work, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I'm just going to pick the really big ones and just do those.
Oh, that's how everybody always does it. Like, yeah. Dino's is always the yes. Yeah.
Dino's is a no-brainer. Lone Star is a no-brainer. I've always liked C10 Intervention. I really like that scene up there. That's always been a good show to me.
I'm hoping soon we can head out and do
Because
Lone Star.
we can do a video.
Oh yeah.
A live video.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah, he said he'll be there this year. So this year we'll go meet you at Dino's to do another video, walk around your booth.
Bring the beers.
Yeah, we'll bring the beer. We'll bring the beer.
We got you all day, buddy.
Definitely. Yeah, but
We'll sneak them in, Dia. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, that's what's always fun.
Got lots of pockets.
And bags.
Yeah.
Shit, we just ruined it for ourselves right now.
Well, that's what I like about having a truck. You can just put everything in it. I put all my trade stand stuff, but I put all the coolers at the front.
I know. Remember, James, here on the show, we don't promote that. We don't condone that kind of
We
stuff.
just condone hidden.
Yeah, we just condone nice hidden compartments and great builds.
And dragging the trucks on the ground.
Dragging it all the way. You know, like yeah. You know, because you never know. Because that one show we're gonna go to, they're just gonna be like, oh, can we check your car, the back of your truck? Like,
That's what I like about my El Camino. The whole back floor on mine lifts up inside, and I've got a huge smuggler's box in there that's about 35, 40 gallons.
Fuck, somebody wants to yeah, dude, somebody wants to take a lot of shit.
Yeah, no, I can fit a lot of shit in that.
Shit. No, but no, El Camino, my
Yeah.
81, the back seat, and it was a small, enough to fit a speaker box.
You pull carpet
I
back.
can fit a full size spare behind my seat in the El Camino.
Yeah.
I got a 215 65 15
Yeah.
sits behind my seat in the El Camino and stands up.
Valerie says that the Bearded Beauty builds a hidden ice chest in the Suburban.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Suburban's got the wagon floor, so where it folds down, you've got that big void in the bottom, just like in all the other wagons.
Oh no, dude. No, this one, Bearded
Had
Beauty.
no floors.
Bearded Beauty had. Oh, that was one of those. That was one of those. That was one of those. It was like a Bob Vila episode, and it was a lot of wood, but it wasn't wood that you were like. It looked good.
Because there was carpet.
It was a lot of carpet and a lot of wood and a lot of stuff that was not holding together.
No.
A lot of exhaust.
When we run into you at Dino's, I'll
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the
He'll show you the pictures. You know,
I don't want to put anybody out on blast.
No,
but this thing was a death trap.
super deck. It was bad. But like any other TV dinner and any other vehicle that anybody buys and any other project car, and we know that James probably seen the project cars and knows what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 50% of my work is rework.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
How bad? How bad?
60%.
Oh, I had a guy that just spent $100,000 on a Cadillac, and he'd only just picked the vehicle.
Hold on. How much again?
$100K. And I couldn't even find $100K in it. I thought I could have built this for 60. So anyway, it was leaking in the corner all the time and wouldn't stay up, and he just picked it up, and the height sensors weren't working properly, so he paid me to come out on site to go and do it. So I took my jack and everything, I jacked it up and got it off, and the height sensor, they'd put a heat shield around the exhaust that mounted the height sensor to the heat shield.
Well,
And-
yeah, that's what the.
And then the airline that was leaking was all scratched on the outside where they dragged it through rather than feed it through. So, and of course, the airline seal on the outside. So I managed to trace it back to a part that wasn't scratched, and I put a whole new piece of the fitting in, and it's been fine since. And now he's booked in, which is probably 4 or 5 months from now, and he wants me to go through the whole car and redo it all. So we're going to be pulling all the Acura out of it and putting a level ride in it.
Hell yeah, that's the way to do it. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
We
That's
get
awesome.
jobs like that all the time.
Yeah.
The Mini Cooper that's coming in after I do I got a 68 C10. I got a mini truck that's coming in next. That's getting the same thing. I'm just ripping everything out and putting a whole thing in it. The Mini Cooper's got airlift in it, so he's been through several manifolds and controllers and everything. So, and he's known my system for a while, so we're just swapping that out. And then the 68 C10 that I'm doing is a full new build. I've got a 46 Plymouth to do, 54 Bel Air. So yeah, quite a few different years, makes and models.
Yeah, I want to go Super Crunch.
Play mini trucks.
That's what that's always good. Yeah, because I just like with the setups and everything, and the way what you offer. Damn, it's a miracle, and not a lot of people, and having to do a lot of rework, which sucks. It's a miracle, not a lot of people aren't converting over to to your setup already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it seems like it's a lot better than what people are fighting with now and having to deal with. Because I know when something happens with other companies, you'll get a third party and another third party, and then customer service kind of sucks after that.
Well, most of the customer service you see is on the owner's page. It's not coming from the company.
Yeah.
It's coming from other guys with the same experience. And most of the questions you see, they go in, they say, "Oh, I'm following," because they've got the same problem and they're trying to find the answer also.
Yeah. No,
I
but
see that a lot.
No, that's crazy though, because a lot of people don't, like, when you think about it in that sense, a lot of people don't, oh well, it is what it is, and they're like, no, it plays a factor in when you're building a vehicle, if you're going to have to deal with that kind of shit later on down the road when something goes wrong.
Yeah, I've tried to make my systems serviceable to the point where if something does go wrong, there's a workaround to at least get you going.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't want to put the height sensors inside something, the same as I didn't want to put the valve inside something, because you only need basic tools to service and fix it. But if you need specialized tools and O-ring kits and all sorts of other stuff, it's a tow truck.
And that's the thing, people don't look at it in that sense.
And I've had problems. I had a bag in my Caprice at Lone Star last year. A piece of rubber came loose from inside the bag and got stuck in the exhaust, even though I had a filter between the tank and the valve. I had something, and I'd already done 10, 15,000 miles in it without any problems. And then I was airing it up and down at the show to show people, and I'd air it up and it'd go straight back down again. And of course, the valve was easy to get to. I just undone the cap, took it off, had the little tool to take the stem out, took the piece of crap out of it. But I also had another inline filter, and I thought, well, I just grabbed some extra fittings and I put an inline filter between the bag and the valve, just in case there was more shit inside the bag.
And that's the thing people don't realize. You have to fucking have some form of fucking water catcher or something to catch.
No, that's why I've got the auto drain feature.
Because of that, yeah.
Yeah, but I've only got a particle trap. I don't have any water traps in our systems.
Well, I guess that's, damn.
So if you eliminate the water, then the only thing you're dealing with is dust.
Fucking stuff.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, and that's fucking innovative as it is. Because everybody, I won't fucking...
Yeah, I'll grab one and show you. This is what we put in every system.
Fuck yeah. What's in we got?
This is not a check valve, it's just an inline particle trap.
Oh, shit.
That's
wow.
all we use.
Huh. That's what catches all the fucking shit. That tiny ass little
That's
thing.
just a quarter, and that gives you enough flow for what you want. They're about $18 each or whatever, and they just stop any dirt or debris getting inside.
Okay. Hell yeah.
That's my old Chevy's parts bin over there. That's a Chevy.
Nice. Hell yeah. There you go.
And here's the burnouts. Where is it? That's me as a 17-year-old doing the burnout in the HQ.
That's badass.
That's an Aussie shell sign from a country town in Australia.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I've got all the Holden caps up here, like the hub caps, all the different things. These are my toys from when I was a kid. This is all the original Matchbox toys.
They're like, oh, Matchbox. Fuck yeah, look at that.
I've got all the original set and the case, so I've had that since I was 5 years old.
Nice. Fucking Tackleberry over here. Fucking.
Yeah, and this here, that's Neptune. That was before Shell, so that's who Shell used to be.
Damn. Look at that.
Each of those bottles is a couple of $1,000s each. You can't find them anymore. They're all complete. They've got all the caps and everything on them.
You got it with all the caps?
Yeah, these are my father's.
Oh, wow.
He handed them down to me. He worked for Shell his whole life.
Oh, shit. Wow.
I've got like all the original map books that you used to pick up at the gas station.
Oh, that's badass.
And then all the tins.
Dude.
These are all these radios work. These are all working radios.
Dude, we're gonna have to definitely go hang out and go visit you, man. That's badass. That's like straight out of American Pickers, but mini truck.
Yeah, well that's me. My wife and I used to go to all of the estate auctions here in town. That's how we filled the house up. The only thing we bought brand new here was the lounge, and the bed. Everything else we bought at an estate sale.
Nice.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All you need now is like a nice hanging radiator. You know, that's a radiator for a Jeep.
The one in the middle.
Yep, that's for a 350 Chevy actually. That went
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
small.
Yeah, it is. It was like for a rock crawler or some shit. Clint said. Clint Heidelberg, he was in a rock crawler 350 Chevy, but it was a little bit too wide from where the fan was, so it was hitting so. Yep, that's part of that. And then if you look down there, that is a whole fucking back of a Mazda with super taillights.
Oh yeah, I can see it behind the cups and everything there.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. It's, if you ever need something like that, hey, we can add everything. I got BMX stuff too. Yeah. This is like got a beer fridge.
I've been on the hunt for my old Melvin Star Dragster push bike. Yeah, I've been trying to find one of them.
Yeah. I got some old BMX Moto 2 Mag aluminum ones that were hand me downs to my brother. Well, I know they're metal. That's what I knew. That's what I knew they were when I was growing up. It's like they're fucking metal and they could hold my fat ass when I would jump on it. And that's how I knew that, like, because I would break rims. I would break bicycle rims by jumping because of how fat I was. So like
the plastic one.
Yeah, so like
You needed hydraulic suspension on it to absorb
I
it.
know, right? So, but
that could be an interesting
that could
thing.
be,
Level ride bicycle suspension.
well, no, you got the e-bike. Yeah,
The hell with the e-bike.
No.
Yeah.
But just hear me out. I know.
Actually, that is the only electric vehicle that I own is my little e-bike.
See?
But the only reason I have it is I don't want to walk 15 miles around the show all the time.
Good point.
See, that's why I want. Why I wish I knew. Why I don't skateboard. So.
Now, I don't want a
Okay.
Segway.
Okay. We'll allow the e-bike.
What about a Segway?
That's level ride.
A Segway.
Well, I was gonna say that might be a little difficult.
No, I don't.
But level ride
Dirty on the ground.
and e-bike.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Have you thought about it yet?
Don't want to.
You're like, I'll own it and ride it, but I don't want to build it. Like, I don't want to modify it. You're like, I don't want to deal with that shit.
It should be the question of not what you haven't done yet, is what don't you want to do?
Yeah,
Right.
there you go. What don't you want to do? Well, that's true. Because like when it comes to body and paint, like, I'm like, no, I don't do that. I'm like a bad hooker. No, I won't do that. I don't do that. I'll do that, but I won't do that. So it's like same shit. Like I ride it, I own it, but I'm not. Don't ask me to build something customized for it. It's like, yeah, but eventually, you don't think eventually you might? Just for shits and giggles. I know you stare at it. like you do every vehicle in your house. Like,
No, it only comes out when I go to the shows. The rest of the time it just sits there. I don't even use it around here.
All right.
I picked it up at an estate auction. It was an $800 bike that I got for $200.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
It was just missing the key. Cost me $75 to order another key for it, and that was it.
Damn, that's a fucking steal.
How about a train?
It's an 800 watt bike.
Oh shit.
So it's got about a 15-mile range on it. It goes for quite a while.
Oh, so it lasts when you're riding around a show.
That's good. I'm cruising around. I'm generally got my Grinder TV shirt on and running around taking videos and getting content for the shows and internet.
Oh yeah, the Independence Day. This is okay. So we just got word.
No, it's rumor right now.
Rumor.
All right, we just got a rumor. We just got word by rumor.
Six Flags flag.
We just got rumor. The rumor train showed up and just told us that the Art of Noise show is really going to be the last show.
Oh, the Laughlin one.
The one at Victory Sports Lane.
Yeah, I did that Art of Noise show. I think it was one of the first shows I did when I moved here.
Supposedly it's going to be the last one due to the people next door.
No, they bought it out.
They bought it out.
Yeah, they bought it out.
Wait a minute, they bought out Victory Lane? Yeah. What the fuck?
I mean,
Why are you telling me this? This is bad news, people. This is not good news.
It's gonna be a bigger.
If they bought the show out, aren't they just going to move it somewhere?
No,
Or the same
they
place?
bought the whole park out. They're gonna turn the park.
Oh,
They bought the park out.
The whole
you just
stumble.
move it to another location.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
that's
you know,
the
like
location.
that was the place everybody knew.
That was
Yeah,
Orchard
you could do it at the same one they do the Forbidden Fantasy at. Where Brian's show is. Just run it down there. It's only down the road.
Yeah. It'd be a little long of a drive, but yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy though, because it's so odd. You know, damn, dude.
Hey, are you going tomorrow?
Well, yeah, I'm going tomorrow.
You got your Lamborghini? You bring your Lamborghini tonight?
Yeah, me and Beers already talked.
Talk about that later.
Yeah. So no, because tomorrow's the car show. No, because that's why I was trying to pull all nighter super crunch to see how fast we can do a bed and pull a bed move and do the
There's not enough beer in Arizona for that.
Yeah, there is.
No, your bank account says I can
Zero.
afford 40.
I know. I can already work it. Yeah. So no, that's what we're thinking about doing.
I pulled some miracles before, but damn.
You don't think we could? I think James agrees. We could probably do it.
Is he coming down there?
No, he's not coming down here.
I mean, if he leaves now.
No, he's not going to come down here, but he probably agrees that we could probably pull it off if we start now.
It's 5 hours. He can
Yeah,
get
it's
down.
5 hours.
By the time he gets here, it'll be a shit show.
No, we'll just be like, hey man, we just need you to wire it. He'll be like, all right, hold on, what do you guys do? He's like, he'd be like, I don't want to wire anything. Like, we just need to go up and down. He'd be like, yeah, I can. Yeah. See, that's what we were thinking about doing, some Super Crunch mini truck stuff, like back in the day. You know, where you'd be like, hey, I got a show the next day. How far can we get tonight?
Yeah. How can we make it so we don't get to the show tomorrow?
See? There we go.
All we gotta do is get to the show tomorrow.
That's all we got to do.
I like that motto.
There we go.
All
we got to do is
get to the show tomorrow. After the show, somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not going to SEMA, you got to make your own style of SEMA crunch.
Right?
Yep, that is true. Shit. How many hours have you done, or how many late nights of SEMA have you pulled off?
I don't get involved in it anymore.
No?
No, I did the first couple of years and things like that, but no, I went 3 years in a row as a vendor, and I've only ever come back, to have a look around.
Well, hopefully, I think maybe next year, late frame and the frame details will be out at SEMA, which will be fucking goddamn hammer, which will be awesome for us because that'll be our first.
Yeah, SEMA's fun, but it's still 4 days with an extra 1 million square foot building on top of what they had before.
That's why I'm gonna take a picture of my before, and then I'm gonna take a picture of when I slimmed down after SEMA. I'll be like.
Parts are nice.
Even when I've done it with Brian and we're walking around, Brian and I, we were doing over 20 miles a day.
Me and Donnie were in a monsoon.
Your calves.
My ankles.
Your heel.
My ankles are gonna swell like a fat man right now.
Like
Just
you want to go,
that shit.
like go drink, or even go to dinner. Get to dinner, and you're like, your calves are burning, dude. Yeah. And then you realize, oh, I'll sleep tonight. It'll go away.
And then you wake up in the morning.
You wake up. Well, no, it goes away, but then like halfway through the day, then all of a sudden they start burning again. You're like, dude, I still have a half day today, and there's 2 more days left after that.
And you only got halfway through of wherever you walk at.
Yeah, even last year at SEMA, I took a day and a half off. I had a guy wanted a brand new Corvette bag. And I said, I've got SEMA on. He goes, I'll give you an extra $1,000 if you can get it done for me by Thursday. So,
hell yeah.
So I did a late day and everything, and I did a bag of Corvette in a day and a half.
A day and a half?
Yeah.
Corvette? What year Corvette?
Brand new, 2024.
2024?
So the C9 or C8.
It's on my page. It's the blue one on my page. If you scroll back to where all the SEMA videos are.
Oh, it's that one. Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah, I did that during SEMA.
Before you said he was on.
well, yeah, but I followed his page, but I saw a few of the pictures, but it was a quick fucking, what I was looking at the most was that fucking C10. That red one. That's what I was like. That's what drew my eye because I was like, that's
Oh, the one that you've shown off?
yeah,
I'll have to rewatch it.
yeah, that one is just like the setup, the way he did it is.
I was in the middle of driving, and I
Yeah,
didn't really get to
because
watch it, so.
what tripped me out the most is the way he, like, when you look at that setup, you see the slim bag on the side, and then you see everything else, and I'm just like, all right, what the fuck does that bag do? And then when he explained it, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that makes total fucking sense. I'm like, I just want to fucking drive in it at 45 and be like, yeah, dude, I'm like, this feels so much better.
Well, at 80 miles an hour, it should just cruise over the bumps. Like, you shouldn't even feel them.
It's better than a Cadillac. Don't say it's a Cadillac. Just say it's better than Cadillac.
Well, you've got five
Got
different comfort settings that you can set.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So when I three wheel it,
yeah,
I pump the bags up to 185 psi so that there's no movement, and that way, as soon as you put all four wheels up, you pump the bags to 800, and then you just let the hydraulic fluid out of one of the rear corners, and it three wheels.
Damn, dude.
That's awesome.
That's fucking sick. It's like almost dog legging it if you wanted to.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, boy, you think you can probably do it while you're driving.
I wouldn't want to, but technically you could.
Like, well, remember when they used to dog leg it when you could drive and fucking
That's why
suck the tire in?
bumpers and downwind calls you ripped off.
Yeah.
You don't dog leg it.
No, well,
You dog leg it when you park.
no, fuck.
You don't dog leg while you're moving.
Dude, I remember. I remember a few people that would do that, but it was like, you would see their front end lift a little bit just so they can suck that tire up.
Yeah, the sway, because the sway bar's so big on it, it'll push it back down.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's got an 1 3/8 sway bar on the front.
Oh shit. Wow. Okay. With your suspension, when it comes to alignment, how does that work out? Alignment.
Same way with any other car. The height that you're going to drive it at every day is where you align it.
Okay. So if they go, hey man, I'm gonna take it to an alignment shop and dial it in.
Yeah, just whatever your ride setting is where you set your wheel alignment at. Because every other time, if you're driving lifted, you're only doing it to get over a speed bump. And if you're at the low, you're at a show to cruise or you want to skate, but you're not doing it all the time.
Oh, okay.
In most cases, if a suspension system is designed right, you're only going to change your camber ever so slightly. But that I've repositioned the steering box on mine. I've got a Hodgkin's drag link in it. I've got the 1 inch shorter Porterbuilt arms. It's still the stock cross member, but it goes through.
Why?
I think it's almost 10.5 inches of the travel with barely changing the camber and zero toe.
Okay, but why still keep the stock cross member if you already modified everything else?
I didn't want to spend $2,600 on something that was going to do the same job as the stock cross member with new arms on it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. I like when you were like, oh, I'm like, all right. I'm like, well.
Yeah, we can do a whole brand new front clip if you want it, but I just didn't see the value in it. I can come that difference of what I saved. I went and bought the electric e-brake from Woolworth for it, and then when I posted the video up on it, that did a couple of million as well. Just all I did was turn the switch on and turn the switch off, and people just lost themselves over it.
Well, dude, the stuff you're building is fucking crazy.
But that wasn't even the truck. That was just the switch.
Yeah, but when they see other videos and they're like, oh shit, this is another part of it. This is something else. This is
1.1 million. It's on the page at the moment.
Holy shit! Yep.
This one up in the top corner here.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that one.
That wasn't even talking about the truck. It was just that, and yeah, it went crazy.
But that's the thing, because people always want is new, something innovative, and dude, it was something that drew someone's attention with their brakes, and then come on, it's just the craftsmanship of what you're doing is something different. You're taking the time, you're building it right, you're making it look good, you're making it function, and you're making it easy for people to use. So I don't see anything. Like, fuck, man. I hope someday I can be able to put your management on my stuff.
Yeah, it's a very affordable, even if you've got some of all the other components already.
I've got that two of them.
Yep. There you go. He's got to get two. He's got to get two. Fucking error. Yeah, that's how it always goes. Where can they reach you if anybody wants to reach you to get any stuff done? If you want to give a shout out to anybody or plug anything you want to plug in.
Well, mainly all the people that help make the truck. Like our main sponsors are Auto Metal Direct and POR 15, and then Otis from GMSS. He did all the sheet metal stuff for us. Willwood helped us out. Dakota Digital gave us a lot of stuff for the truck. I've known Scott Johnson from Dakota Digital now for 25 years. We get a little bit of discount on some of the stuff. There's Venata Fab. There's a couple of small fab companies that gave us like the billet interior light, the billet gas pedal. What we're doing because I've got a camper shell on the back, is we're going to recreate all of the labels of the people that are involved with a QR code so that someone can come up to the side of the truck and they say, where'd you get the gas pedal? And I can just point to the sticker and I say, if we scan that, that's where you get it. So, and then I'm going to get one of those pull-up, what do they call it, like a display board?
Yeah.
And at each of the shows, we'll just pull that up and that'll have everything on it. But it'll also explain how it all works so that I'm not explaining it all the time.
Nice.
Because people see that in that truck, that stainless steel tubing, I've got 14 6-foot lengths of 3/8 tubing in there.
Damn.
And then I've got another 3 lengths of 1/2 inch, which is for the fuel line.
Oh, shit.
But I don't buy coils. I only buy straight lengths because all those coilers and straighteners that you see, they don't work. You end up with little kinks and curves and everything. And
better having a straight line. And
yeah, and I can most of those out of all of that line I built, I only wasted about 3 feet out of all of that.
Oh, that's not bad. Fucking 3 feet out of that. That's like somebody going, I only use a quarter of a pint of Bondo.
Yeah, but I use the rigid rollers on them because they have the forward and the reverse markings and everything on them, and plus you can undo the lever and do a 360 and do a loop as well with it as well.
Oh, okay.
So they're about $300 by the time you get them freighted, but they're worth every cent.
Oh, shit.
I've got 1/2 inch and 3/8 in those, and that's what I use for doing all the hard line. And there's YouTube videos on how to do 45 and angle bends. If you want to move the line over 3 inches, and it shows you how to measure the angles and do it. And all of those lines that I built, they all lined up from the starting point to the finish point on every bend, and there'll be, most of them are almost 6 foot long with 4 or 5 bends in them, but they all line up exactly where they need to. I had to try and make it symmetrical, so it mirrored each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. I totally get that.
That I probably spent 80 hours doing all of that hard line.
80 hours? Well, at least it's better than fucking half the time having to straighten it. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Dude, this is, and, just to let everybody know, you can, if you're in Vegas, go and say what's up to James.
Yeah, just give us a call or contact us through Instagram.
Check out the shop.
If I don't answer the phone, you can just leave a message on the phone, or you can just message me on Instagram. That's usually the best way.
Yep. Go to levelrideairsuspension.com, I'm going to say. Right?
Levelrideairsuspension.com.
Levelrideairsuspension.com. All right, levelrideairsuspension.com.
And our number's easy to remember. It's 702-666-2066.
Like Mike Jones, he's throwing it out.
Devil to the competition.
There you go. Throw that number out again.
702-666-2066.
There you go, guys. Go hit him up. I want to thank James Cloke for coming on, and thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate everything. And dude, we'll hopefully we'll let you know when we're in Vegas, and we'll go give you a call, and we'll hit you up and hopefully take a live tour and check out some of the stuff, man. Thank you for coming on, and on behalf of me, Holy Moses, fucking Wes Tackleberry, aka Tackleberry, the bearded beauty in the back, camera perfection in the back.
We're back here.
We're there in the back. On behalf of all of us here at the Late Frame Podcast, we want to wish everybody a good night and a happy 4th of July. Be safe out there. Don't blow your hand off. All right.
Don't hold the Roman candle.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you.